After stage 1, it felt like everyone made it their target to take us down.
Yeah.
All right, well, we do seem to have some information up on the screen right now, so we're moving into the map ban phase, and tell me what you're thinking right now. Dev?
Jump in, or do you want me to take this?
No, Dev, you go.
All right. So Clubhouse ban from TSM. That's a really strong map there for Elevate. In fact, Elevate 7-2'd BDS on Clubhouse to punch their ticket into the playoffs just yesterday. Keep in mind, that was with Rafal. That's a full 5 roster at BDS. And I was chatting briefly with the Elevate guys last night, and they said that they couldn't believe it. They were so ecstatic. They were so proud of themselves to have taken that down. So yeah, if I'm TSM, I'm banning that.
I get it, yeah. And Cafe coming out as the Elevate ban, it's actually kind of a good map for Elevate. So seeing them ban that out is maybe a little bit interesting. It's, however, TSM is going 50% win rate on that. So if TSM gets their first pick, they pick Bank.
What? Sorry, what? Bank? That is so weird. That was the map yesterday that they lost 6 rounds of defense in a row against Dark Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, before that they had a really good defensive win rate. I would say they have an 80% win rate on this map in general, but yesterday wasn't really a great showing of them at all.
It's so hard to really judge TSM right now, isn't it? Because like you said, I mean, even if you just look at the blanket numbers, you're like, yeah, okay, Bank, good map for TSM. If you look at that yesterday, what on earth happened there?
All right, well, our teams are ready to go. Dev, I know you're excited. You're Elevate team here. You've been rooting for them, so I know they're definitely feeling the pressure. So is TSM. So let's get to it. TSM versus Elevate. Fluke and Half. Let's go.
Thank you very much, and it is going to be an exciting matchup for the first place in the group, which is of course that little extra game that you do not have to play and the extra life compared to, for example, the 4th place. If you would get that in the group, you'll be down in the lower bracket. So that is something neither of these teams would like to be in. That first place is where it's at. And that is what is currently at stake. Elevate, they secured themselves yesterday, and after that you saw everything flow off their shoulders. They did not have the pressure anymore to, having to perform at that moment in time. And, even Dev checked up with them afterwards, and they said as well, they didn't care anymore at that moment in time. They were secured, it's all that they were playing for, but there is extra to be gained right now. And that will be here, starting off on Bank.
That's it. We're going to see if we can make a guess for Elevate's sake. What do they take away from DZ having full control? It's always worth having a look at the data and the performance over the tournament, because obviously you've got 2 Bank performances. There's the BDS one and then there's the Dark Zero one, and that's against a team that was technically a full 5 at that point. BDS had Rafal back, but obviously it was the first game back and it definitely didn't go their way. It was entirely a showing. Pretty much -1 round for the 7-1 split, and then the second time, obviously, the 2-7. Which TSM Bank are we going to get here is the question.
Is the big question indeed. The finger is being banned by this side of Elevate. Attackers will have to be a little bit more careful with the initial gunfights they will take, due to the fact, of course, that the Finka has the opportunity to heal you back up to that full HP. Not having any of that as of yet, right here, right now. The operator band's coming through. Kate as well. Gone is going to be making sure that the hatches will be opened up just a little bit easier. And if you now see these bands, there's one thing that stands out, and that is the fact that there is going to be a Thatcher on the board.
Thatcher's on the board. We're going to see those hatches play themselves a little bit more prominently, potentially, unless they go for taller holds. And obviously, it's that creative hitting of heads of 2 different regions with a single take. And that might be where that Dark Zero score, that sort of asterisk, sit for TSM's hold here. So, although they are very talented, although they are a good Bank team and had that knock, there's nobody at this tournament outside the other NA teams that know them that well. There's nobody else that's sort of going for them and driving into those scenarios. Dark Zero had everything they needed, everything they could read from their take, and they needed, to be fair, everything just to obviously ensure that they survived.
Yeah, survival was on the hands there for Dark Zero in that matchup. Not that much for the sides of TSM. However, now there is something to play for. It is going to be that extra life. It's the match less you have to play. And if you really like stage time, and if you really like screen time, that moment you might decide to actually go for the 2nd to 3rd place. But if you want to win the tournament, it's always better to go and do that first seed, making sure that you do not have to play the extra match, do not have to show extra stats as a result. Now, We'll be seeing a little bit of a hold coming down onto the blue stairs. As per usual, ADS is set up around that position. Might even see some discs being used as well. And if I have to take a gamble, Merc probably the one to play there.
The Echo going to have the full stretch here around the back. They obviously have the extension of the mirror. They have everything in the pockets with the smokes and the C4 to potentially try and stop the plant onto the default spot. It is your usual approach. It was before the remodeling, and although some teams have gone with the alternate towards the vault side itself and see if they can express via the new hatch an express delivery of a kit towards the site. Either way, it's still at least familiar, and it is still at least an opening to the top, though. A top-down clear, and with Zero being a bit of a driving force, we've already talked about it a couple of times, he is so good on this map.
Yeah, a lot of open spaces you can use those cameras for, and even if you are on that bottom floor, you might even be able to dig one through the hatch, get a bit of a zap off on a PC utility, or maybe even a mirror window if you're lucky. But as we're on that bottom floor, and there currently seems to be just a singular person somewhat off the side. It's Merc, of course, on those blue stairs. He is more than likely going to be the first point of contact here, unless Elevate decide to go for a bit of a backdrop through the elevator, through, of course, the lobby hatch as well. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right here. Can openers being used, making sure the elevator will be opened up and at least to provide a point of pressure. It was a bit worrisome, you could almost say, when we saw Cyclops play on this site. The elevator got some traumas from it at that point. So let's hope that Elevate doesn't make the same mistakes.
They're going to see if they can try and put some pressure back down. And obviously, as soon as that hatch gets popped, you usually want to try and pull yourself out of that blue stairs, depending on how long you try and stick it. And with that support player in that position, Merc has a little bit more life he can give. They have that little box of hefty servers in the corner. They have that potential for an over-arc round, but it's achieved, actually, that suffers the first dabs of damage. That support player, if he goes, they're really in a tight spot. Merc.
Oh, what a shot!
Oh, filthily removes DCH from the little pop-in cupboard and popped right out and sends himself back in, and that is such a clean take.
Grenade being tossed in from the bottom, however, doesn't roll in far enough. It's the Wamai disc that actually catches his, and as the shield gets removed, Merc still is close with a shotgun. Has one more smoke canister as well, is going to be good for about 10 to 15 seconds of extra waste of time. He gets the shot in, but Nerix lives and gets the kill. It's a 4-on-4. Flashbangs now come down on the side of a Chief who needs to hold on. Finds the very first kill. Sees more coming down, however, as he sees the head coming through. It's Nagiri with the very first kill. The diffuser gets dropped before he gets traded out. Nerix wins out that gunfight. There's a 2-on-2. 20 seconds left on the clock. There's still a player up from above, and Geo is currently not playing onto the mirror window here. So they need to make sure that this plan doesn't go down, as Nagiri goes for the drop and tries to go aggressive. He covers off a potential C4 toss right here. Gets swung, however, Bolo picks up the kill. Nerix needs to go for the kills as a result. And the first round is TSM's.
Elevate, they soared a bit back. They were able to try and drive themselves down on the hatch after losing the players, obviously, elsewhere. TSM, it was a bit back and forth. They did enough to get themselves onto that 15-second sort of marker with the 2 versus 2. They played it perfectly. They pulled themselves back. They waited for the pressure of the plant. They knew it was going to come through. And then at that point, they started to move. At that point, they looked for the crossfight. They looked for the door itself and saw if they could try and piece something together here. They have themselves a start. And as they were saying on the desk, you got to be used to an aggressive team when you come up against Elevate.
You have to be, indeed. Elevate likes to bring that aggression, but we've heard a little talk about it as well from Stokes and Blue, for example. They love to play against aggression, apparently. They really like this aggressive playstyle that Elevate might bring. This is where they could thrive. And let's see if that indeed will be the case. If they manage to find the counters to whatever quick push Elevate will be putting on the board, whether or not they will be able to be broken as well by the sides of Elevate there. And they start off strong, of course. A nasty shot from Merc with that SMG-11 onto the top of those blue stairs into the small side janitor's office. Starts there strong, and then suddenly it's a 4v5 situation, and they still need to push you on those blue stairs.
opening up those feet angles, making sure that as soon as somebody goes for a bit of a hot hop into open, any pace that might be applied might be well cut short by cutting them off directly at the ankles, the stretch. All the way to the top, you'll sort of see the hold from underneath, usually utilized with some thread of intel here. They've got the Echo drones and potentially the Mozzie Pests if they can try and catch somebody, but often you'll see it with a pulse, or you'll see it with another beaten read of anything active, and then suddenly C4s are underneath those players as they go for the swing in. Elevate's stacked. They're waiting to see if they can try and get some of these deeper camera angles. Again, we talk about how far they can go in and how much they can reveal when played properly and placed in positions that, well, usually aren't taken that quickly.
For sure. Chalet still around near that area, looking through these ankle holes, waiting to make sure no one is going to be jumping in through the window on the side. As the rest of TSM is taking some pressure from the top floor. There's three members actually on the Elevate side that look to take the lobby, two to take the top of squares. So, well, sure, they will be calling that out soon. It's actually a drone that has been caught by the side of TSM that will call out that there seems to be a little bit of pressure coming down from the side of the Beepers now, and a C4 gets tossed over, and it's the entry for TSM. It's a good start yet once more as the Yana gone, and with that, a lot of utility, and of course, a very important player on the side of Elevate out as well.
It was an uncontested swing there from Bolo. He was able to get that off. He was able to sort of pop it. And when you're throwing a C4 off the rim of Banana right down to that double door, you expect something back, at least, especially with that new widened opening, the second sort of doorway that slips yourself through. Even grenades bounced up. Some modicum of pressure back in for him not to be able to get into that position. Nerix, he's gone deep, all the way around underneath. The calls are coming through, and Geo is going to be the first one he might meet here, just around green, the bottom of the stairs itself. He's waiting patiently. The softs will give him a bit of a lead in, but Nerix, whether he becomes the driver, waits for a push elsewhere, either way, it's going to be noisy.
Just keeping an eye on him in the meantime as well as Chalet is repositioning some of these yokais, try and find a little bit of a better angle. Yeah, a little bit of a phone call coming through, giving away some of the positions, and Merc actually tosses a C4 out towards the front desk, picks up the diffuser, picks up Sapper, but due to that Nitro being tossed, they have no clue that the diffuser has been dropped. And it's Geo now that makes his way up on these main stairs, hoping to find one in the back. DCH finds a kill to achieve as he just exited the janitor area. Nerix now coming up as well from below, so it might be a little bit of a double down. It's going to be the trade that comes out in the end, though, but it's only up to DCH. He is all alone against the three men of TSM here. Is he going to be able to clutch this out, or is TSM going to be able to put a second one on the board?
Well, DCH is concerned about multiple angles, and Merc's not making anything even easier. Popping up and spraying down with the SMG as he's able to pull a body before there's one. Bolo from the top rope, quickly removed. They've still got to try and get the case inside the site itself, and they know that that's probably not going to happen, especially if Merc does that. 2 in a row for TSM.
They have it. 2 in a row, and with that, they are starting off strong here, but we have to always remember it is only the first half, and it's only round 3 that will just start now. So even if TSM have a 2-0 lead now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are, already done with the match. They've already won. We're no longer in these kind of clear cuts area where, first of all, it is defense, so that would never be the case. But if an attacking team would have won 2 rounds, it would have been over. Yeah, we've had that in the past actually. Where maps were so defense-sided that if a team managed to get 2 attacking rounds, people would often already call it. It's over. That's the game. It's won.
Hey, remember when I talked about Pulse being possible? I mean, Bolo keeps swapping off of him for a second, but he's saying that, hey, remember when I talked about Pulse being possible? He's in the hands of Bolo. And that is a pressure point here because it used to be on Old Bank that the second site for a lot of people was that sort of mid-core of that middle floor. It was underneath CEO, you sort of set yourself up with the vertical hold, and it was almost like 2 takes that you would reverse because open was really bad. It was, you can sort of get underneath with the pulse and keep a watch on it. To be honest, you don't see a huge amount, at least in Europe, from our major perspective, of teams go for the stretch and APAC of trying to hold on to it. But Bank has always been a pretty good NA map. It's a place where they do like to come and a place where they like to sort of push themselves further and further and further. And I think Pulse, for me, is synonymous with the plays that are possible on Bank. And to be honest, if a player's going to pull it off, It's likely that Bolo's name is alongside that list.
Yeah, for sure. He's trying to play with that scanner now already. We'll be giving away some of that information as he drops all the way down to the basement just to be a little bit more safe. But he might have actually seen a bit of a heart scanner there. He definitely has been droned out now, and that gives Bolo an idea of the fact that he might be pushed by Unigiri. Who's the IQ? Is the counter actually of that Pulse is trying to hunt him down before he does any too much damage. Doesn't know, however, the Bolo's already long gone, looking to go back up to the middle floor and try and figure out if he can maybe find someone with a C4 from there.
Nay, stopped at the top but popped off that mirror window, just gave the idea of where it is, and they're going to give themselves that little bit of width. Here's DCH to offer something back as well, potentially a drone up first, but they might try and burn towards the top of Banana if they get a read on a player there. You'll see a lot of a drive towards Kanto, and there it is.
Oh.
What a great little use of a Twitch drone.
This is one we're going to see in every single ring game from now on as well, because you can just get rid of every single piece of utility on the Banana side of things. And now as flashbangs are being tossed in, Kanto gets opened up, and there is going to be even the barricades that get destroyed. There is little to no space that TSM can safely play behind outside the actual side and the surrounding rooms itself as well. There is going to be some fire on the Kanto spot due to a shield to be destroyed from the side of Achieved. Bolo is still on the bottom floor, however, so even if Elevate try and go for a push right now, they're not quite sure where he will pop up, and that is kind of a danger point. That's kind of a joker that the side of TSM have. He can just turn around the entire round if he chooses the right moment to strike.
Slow reads on all the players that are trying to steady their way across. That'll all be fed and filtered to the ones at the top of saying they're going for a bit of a lobby take here. There's at least 3 bodies that Bolo's been able to pick up. They're just putting pressure onto Chalet, who's keeping either side of the softed mirror window. He's making sure he can keep himself going, but the push actually comes over the top of Banana. The C4 does just catch the tail end of DCH, and Onigiri in the meantime has found his way onto the back stairs. There's still a loose player underneath him, and the longer this round goes on, well, there's actually a chance the Pulse won't come back up because he can do just as much damage from far away as Nia. However, Onigiri, he's going to set himself for a first fight here. They need to try and take some pressure. They need to try and put some pressure back in to allow Napu to be able to get deeper and deeper. 20 seconds, and he sees the first Ingenitors. Can't quite get the connection that he wants, but it opens the door for this. A 1 and a second. There it is. Onigiri suddenly drives them through. Achieved with a C4 is in a good position. They also obviously still have a Pulse with a C4. They're going to see if they can position themselves. Bolo, he's looking for it. He's going for it. He's getting it. No, it doesn't quite connect.
It is safe. He was on the top of the concrete there, and as Onigiri picks up yet another kill, it seems like the side of Elevate might be able to pull this one off. Achieved. Looking to the left, actually, he did not, and Nerix is going to be able to pick up that kill. They found a safe spot to go for the plant. They made it work. They made it stick, and as a result, the remaining members of TSM, they quickly had to hurry back to the site, and this is a little bit of an oversight coming through from them. They did not quite know exactly where the Elevate push was coming down from, and even though they had a great opening, it was the player that was coming in. Onigiri from the back, able to pick up that double. That really changed the round for the side of Elevate.
It was well played. It was that little moment, as you pointed it out during it. He'd got himself onto a bit of solid ground there. He'd got himself some protection. There was a read and a huge amount of soft floor, and just that little few inches that kept him safe to finalize that plant. Suddenly, the round is entirely shifted. Suddenly, it's in a very different phase. But 2-1, there is still this swing round. We are still halfway in the midst of this, and Bank is TSM's pick. They have more than enough drive, and let's see if they can try and redo their lockers take from before their hold even.
Yeah, I was going to say, the hold instead. Or a retake if they feel like, you know, just give it away, open up all the hatches, try and return the favor within 45 seconds. Sort of retakes done quick. Bit of practice already for the attack itself. Either way, 1-2, TSM. The extra round on the board for now, but it should have been 2 if it wasn't for Onigiri coming in from the back. Or Super Onigiri, we have to call him.
The classic.
Still a big fan of him, you know. It's, ever since he left APAC North, it isn't the same.
The approach from open. I believe that was trying to get a little bit of an eye onto the players that have otherwise got themselves stretched. Chalet is deep inside the garage. He's got eyes on his own cover and approach there, but obviously if he wins a fight, wow, Merc actually wins the first one out. Onigiri goes down. Nay is able to find Merc and get some revenge there from the width and the wide swing, but they've lost the IQ. And when you still have Echo, when you still have that danger on the board, it might turn into a problem a little bit later. Bolo, he's doing his best to try and stick in and stick the fight back against them, holding on to a bit of territory here and forcing them into an uncomfortable situation with Chalet giving the hot pings on the relevant information. Loses a drone, but it does look like he wants to eye his way up the staircase and offer Bolo a little bit more of a wing of support. But actually, the rotations come through. He's found achieved and an open hatch.
And there is going to be a reinforcement available for the side of TSM. Not quite sure where they kept it in pocket or if they have any idea with it. Closing up the rotation they have, though, is going to be a bit too dangerous. So that is not something they opt to go for right now. Also, mind you, hatch in open area, open. The hatch left in the office on the side is still soft. As a result, there is going to be an easy way in for the side of Elevate if they do manage to get this first floor control. However, TSM has one member on either side, and the Sapper takes care of one of these Banshees. They now know as well that the pressure seems to be coming in from around the actual main stairs area. Hatches will be opened up from the very top floor to provide some more mobility and some more angles as well towards the TSM players. And as they start dropping in, they forfeit this first floor and decide that it's time to fight it on the actual site with a 4-on-4 situation.
Wasting as much time as possible there, and they've done it very well. Elevate, they finally got open, but they still have the work on the site left to do itself. And punching your way through a castle is going to take a little bit of precious time, but you can see they're still trying to set themselves up the drones to go for the push itself. You assume that Sapper is on his way to get the vault hatch and the opposite side, so they can maybe try a little bit more width. No, he's gone for this as well, and they obviously have the hatches that were previously opened by the defenders. 40 seconds. We can hear more and more steadily opening. They just miss the slip away of Geo.
Sapper is actually ready to drop through the actual vault hatch, not the elevator one. And now some support seems to be coming down, whereas Nay's trying to take away the advantage and the attention as well from the side of TSM. It looks like they might be trying to sneak in from the back here to see if they potentially could sneak in a plant or strike them in from the back once more. However, it seems like there might be someone aware. Chief is going to be able to spot one as Bolo picks up the very first kill. It's a snake that they managed to take out right after, but the diffuser can be recovered as there is going to be Nerex on 1 HP in that actual gunfall, takes the kill onto Chalet. 2-on-1 situation. The time is starting to run out and Geo gets the very final kill. TSM able to win in yet another round right here. They tried to get creative on the side of Elevate, drop through the vault, try and take control through red. However, it seemed like they were aware of what was going on, partially due to the flashbangs that were about to be tossed in right before they dropped. That gives it away. Hey, there is 2 people coming now, but of course you risk that if you don't do it. There's people close in the corner that are not going to be blind and will take you out before you reach the ground.
Back to open. Back to open, and that was 2 pretty solid lockers hold. And you know, what we sort of measure that metric by isn't the fact that it came down to a bit of a 3 versus 2 or a 2 versus 2 or whatever, but it's the fact of how much time Elevate had left and what was still standing for those remaining players of TSM, because they weren't in these uncomfortable situations in those holds. It was Elevate that was still forced to go for these big plays. You look at the fact there that they still had Garage, they still had Gold Vault, they still had all of these very important angles not pressured at this point, and that it's sort of a pretty solid TSM hold, regardless of if a couple of bodies have gone throughout the way. Here, they're going for the hold above. They've got themselves stretched into stock. They've got it all locked off, and I don't know if it's a rotation through onto Archives, which we'll sometimes see. As I said, it's a great place that you'll often get a player play, but here, unless Merc just sort of chills, they've got the rotation off to the side of the stairs instead.
When I'm thinking about this side, I somehow think back at the European Open qualifier we had, a close qualifier, with Vitality trying to breach the quad wall. That didn't really work out for them too much. But I was thinking about it. There's actually nothing that currently stops it. Yes, there's mute gemmers, but they're easily taken out. There's, however, no Thatcher use. So Elevate feel confident enough that they're going to be able to breach and open up whatever they want without having the need for that Thatcher. So, you know, you can use your grenades. You can use other pieces of utility like the Twitch drone, for example, to get the actual mute gemmers. Because due to the infinite range on the shock drone now, you no longer need to be close. I thought for a second there he actually saw someone, but it's going to be Nate that takes the first amount of damage. He is quite close already, and Nitro gets spotted. However, not the kill that will land right after.
Well, there goes Bolo. He's going to see if he can try and get some support, but in the meantime, Nate's already driven his way through. Merc gone inside the connector. There's a bit of revenge, though. Bolo from above. He has these angles set up, as I said. Last time he was able to sort of play on Banana with the C4 and wasn't massively challenged. This time, they're in underneath him, trying to go fishing, and Charla, his connections, all of these other players not too far away from them are slowly being dropped. Geo pops a bullet from the elevator, gives a bit of the game away of his position, pre-fires towards the split in the second, and pulls his way out of there. He knew as soon as he pressed the trigger on that first, it was going to turn into a slip and slide fight, and well, he's slowed away.
Knew exactly where it was at that moment in time. There is, however, a yellow ping coming through, but he gets droned out. It's a trade kill. Nay gets the headshot onto Bolo, who gets the down onto Napew. So it's going to be a 2-on-3 effectively. However, Sapper is in a prime position to go for the pickup here, and as they read that there is going to be indeed a form of a pickup, it is Geo that needs to try and cancel it out. Sapper takes a small amount of damage, and they're trying to defend this down body as much as they can, like it's a bomb chassis or a side entrance here. As the flashbang's gone through, he sees the one, goes for the kill. It's 2 men down, and a finish as well. Just one, however, as it's only up to Achieve now, trying to come around the corner. The beepers give away his position, and as he tries to pre-fire whilst falling back, there's actually a man that jumps to the window as well. Onigiri
takes the head off from the far side, and that is it. Elevate, they've been able to pull one back here onto open. It's a bit of a 50-50 swing, and TSM, they just didn't quite have the handle on the pace that was applied to Merc underneath. As soon as that sort of screamed through, obviously the first C4 was ripped and torn and didn't quite get the kill itself. Nay just drove directly to the heart of that hold, caught his way past, and then obviously Bolo was able to pick up who came in second. But at that point, they've already sort of put the pressure onto the control. They've taken over the territory, and then they begin to control a little bit more aspects, and suddenly you've got isolated players. You've got Geo isolated, you've got Bolo isolated, and at that point, it turns into just a continued aggression. Open is where they're going to double down. This is where they think they might be able to at least lock it off a 4-2.
I mean, they did get quite close, and as you mentioned, it was really that first gunfight that did not really go in the way of TSM. If they would have been able to pick up Napew there, then they wouldn't have had to throw 3 more bodies through the archive. So try and secure these 2 downs that they managed to put down on that board, and it could have been a completely different round. Now, 2-on-3. TSM still on the lead. They could potentially lose that here, and as a result, Elevate would equalize the score. Well, they are very certain of the fact that they can lock it off here. We do not see any changes really coming in the actual setup of things. Same castle barricades being used. You know, basics are there. We might see some positioning changes to come through. However, Geo yet again will be providing a bit of support by using that shotgun and the castle barricades potentially to create these small openings towards the actual tellers area.
Okay, Elevate, can you double it down? Or has TSM been able to learn a little bit, read into some of this play, and have themselves prepped for, well, whatever you decide to throw at them? Onigiri set himself up, trying to put some pressure here from the opposite side and see if he can lean in that open window on the far corner of the entire map, and Achieved is above. He was under a little bit more pressure than he was before as Onigiri sort of slips and slides his way up and down, but no true connection. They're steady on their call here. The drone, the pull, and the idea of where the players are is still slowly being pieced together. Merc hasn't been rushed because they assume that they'll get caught this time around by Bolo, so they're playing themselves a little bit more cautious.
Grenades are still being tossed in, however, to potentially get rid of some of that utility, and as the drone follows right after. Snade is trying to find the information that is required for him to actually push through into the teller's office. Bolo is quite close. That's one drone. Is still being droned down. I'm not quite sure if he heard it. And then I know exactly he's playing near those windows. However, most of them have been closed off for the latest small rework or map buff, as they are being called. He definitely knows now that he's being pushed out, jumps through the window, and Nerix is going to be able to pick up the kill on the back of the phone call that also comes through. It's going to be a 5v4 situation. The entry yet once more, and the trade, however, does come through. Geo brings it back, takes a important kill yet once more. It's Napew that dies, and with that, gone 6, information and grenades all off the board.
Yeah, the positioning there from Geo, he was ready to try and respond to one of the plays that was put down, and the players removed as Bolo was obviously sort of hounded by the pressure of those drones and the bodies that swing in. A great take, but returned, which was the difference last time round. Everything was a little bit slower, a little bit more disconnected, and this puts Elevate in a little bit of a tricky situation because that momentum that gets cut off, that sort of gets slowed as they've got to try and rebuild and rework out where the players have gone to. Obviously, a lot of them have pulled themselves back towards the site. They don't need to have a massive stretch for now. It's a dance and a dabble here of that C4, but everybody is on the same floor at this point. They've got that stretch, and Sapper sees the fight, can't quite get the full connection against Geo, and that's not even Geo, it's Merc that cuts in and cuts him in half. Able to hit him with the shotgun. Geo himself, there he goes though. He was on the other side of that fight. There's the opening on the split and just sees the shoulder. Can't get the connection. Keep shooting, DCH, keep shooting. Finally finds it, locked in by Onigiri on the backside, but 20 seconds of 3 versus 2. They still have to find their way into the site. Achieved is just holding off on the top of green. He's making sure that nobody can go on those main stairs of the swing round, so they're going to have to swing him. They take the fight and win it, though. It's a 3 versus 1. Charla, all that's left inside the position of itself, swings to the IQ, drops it. Does he have a drone? That's a question we might be about to find out. Nerix is looking too, but no. Is the answer a post-plant situation? Tries to find a cheeky one from the angle previously used by Geo, but there's no swing this way round. A pre-fire finds the first, or... well, a perfect catch actually pulled against DCH. Nerix is just blinding every direction. That'll be a big audio cue, and that is Nerix.
He knew where he was right there and tried to go for the pre-fire instead, but the SMG-33 coming in clutch in the end there. It's a difficult gun to control, but in the end worked out just fine. Equalized the score here. Managed to take the side control. There was nothing they could do. There was no yokai in a position to stop the plan from happening. And Elevate, they take that lead and make sure, or not lead, but they close the lead and make sure that they have the opportunity here to, well, put up a second half that is better than TSM's.
Okay, TSM turn of the half, and it's an even one. Elevate, they've been able to keep themselves fighting here, and well, outside of Sapper, who hasn't had the true connection with this game as of yet, but to be fair, he's very often playing those support roles. However, when you're up against a team like TSM, where all of them have this habitual need to pop off just to create hype moments, and they're very good at it, you sort of need to have a lot of this potential to try and respond to some of these firefights. Otherwise, you get unfortunately lost, regardless of the heft of the role that you're bringing with utility. Sitting out in a 9-man game becomes a little bit more uncomfortable. I was about to say a little bit more uncomfortable.
Lotto.
A lot.
I actually use that word unironically every now and then.
Oh, do you?
It's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, but English
is
a
lot.
First language.
It is a lot, but
it is mine.
It sounds cuter when it's a little.
Ah,
you know, that's it.
Back to CEO. Back to CEO. There we go. For the second time today. It wasn't really a preference for TSM, and here it is the first. And I like that we see an Oryx on paper.
Yeah, on paper it is great, because we have seen it, what it can do. And it worked out quite well on a map like Bank, but Nay for now is just looking through these little windows here, looking if he can see someone, if he can see a feet or a head that he can take cleanly off. All right, now I'm starting to struggle with the English language as well.
He sees him.
He sees him, doesn't realize it though, also doesn't get hurt, so at least he is sitting patiently, sitting safe for here for now.
That's it. Geo is also repelling on this side. They pre-fire the door, and the thing is, if this drone catches him, surely it's over, because he can try and ram a dash out of there. There he is. There he goes. There he goes. Yeah, Merc was sitting right above him, and obviously Nay saw him, but at the same time, we are in a much less stressful position looking for those arms and limbs and legs, and unfortunately his stress was punished. They're still stacked up. Trying to find DCH now, and obviously the player inside Kanto to try and get control of the top of that elevator corner. Onigiri, he has himself a huge gun. He has some of the reinforcements and some of the solidity to work alongside, but with the fact that, well, we have many grenades here, and that's probably going to be under a lot of fire in just a second.
Pings are coming through, they have the expectation, one is out there, and well, they're not completely wrong. We have one in the top of the elevator down there. It's the Maestro that is currently watching to try and figure out if there is any form of information he can get. Merc is ready to jump in from the skylight here. At least he's holding it for now, trying to see if there's any rotation he can catch off, but none appear. Onigiri, however, in a bit of a dangerous position with Bolo below just a couple of seconds ago. He's playing with the Maestro Cam for now, but just a grenade through the elevator something that we have seen quite often. I mean, it's a PC utility. It's not too strange to see that happen, and as DCH gets himself spotted, it's a grenade that will be directed towards him. It's not going to hit him, however, as he's aggressive underneath the windows now, and surely that will be called out. But the pings are not coming through, and the grenades have been used. And that means that Bolo no longer has anything to use vertically-wise. But the Chief still does, and he can knock one in right behind DCH and get an entry there, but it's Nerix that finds a response.
Well, there's a Chief to find his second on the windows, gets a great take there, and the return, it's Nerix though, locking everything off on that top stairs. Gio, he's revealed on the camera, the bubble is spotting him, but in the meantime, Achieved is just spotting Elevate players and removing from the game. Nerix gets caught off by his fourth that round, and Achieve just drove them home to put them back in the lead.
They have it 4-on-3. They might have lost it just momentarily, but they're back at it again at their attack here as well. It started off with a great entry here. This is why you drone every corner. It might cost you a second extra per room. That's why you start droning early on, but you might be able to catch off someone that's hiding like that. And that is a free kill then. There's nothing he can do. He needs to run away because he knows he's going to be in that sticky situation there, and as a result, turns his back towards you. And with that, TSM found the first opening. Grenade to follow up for a second one after, and well, from there on forward, they just continued to push the side and trade. Use all the angles they have to their disposal to ensure themselves for a good round outcome. Elevate will decide to not run it back, something that TSM did before. That was round 5 and 6 when open area was played twice in a row, and twice it was Elevate that managed to secure the W on it. Now, we're headed towards the open area instead, which is the side I just quoted, but it's not the run it back one from Elevate, as they have just lost CEO. And let's see how they'll play it. There is hatches being opened up, which allows Napew to use that Oryx to jump up to safety or to potential danger, but also for opportunities to go for a flank, more importantly, which might guide them into rounds.
Okay, TSM, that was a pretty ferocious opening take. As he said, it was built on that drone work. It was built on pulling all the players' locations and going from there onwards. Here, you're looking at open. You're looking at what was, once upon a time, highly regarded as the worst site to be held because of how awkward it was. How awkward it was to sort of keep people at arm's length before you just suddenly suffer to somebody swinging around on a window and taking off 2 heads. Here it starts with your verticality. Nerix inside Janitors is a big power position. They're going to have to see if they could try and get a control of here, and whether they go for a double push across the top of square, which is what they're setting up these zero cams for, or just try and face it front on. Either way, actually, on a Giri, on a rotate there is the first to be caught by the big table.
Taking a big amount of damage right here, and he's still being spotted out by these cams, and as he tries to step to the side, it's Achieved that just swings in to get him with Bolo and will be able to pick up the very first kill. It's the Banana now under control, the player's still inside the elevator, one in Janitor as well. That is going to be the big issue here. It's a spot from Napew and the very first kill to come through as well. Make that 2 as he finds them from the elevator there. This Gio, however, that spots a flank but is unable to secure that kill. Will at least force him back as Chalet now needs to take this Janitor under control. There is, however, a castle barricade in the way, which prohibits him from doing so.
They're going to see if they can try and put the fight there onto this quad wall as well. We talked about how it was a big point of contention that when slowed was kind of a failure. There goes that connection wall, gets the castle. Clever use of an exothermic there to sort of stretch its range and make that a little bit more awkward for the player to play behind it. It opens up options, and that's exactly what Elevate need right now, is try and push this advantage. The more space they can create, the more uncomfortable those remaining players alive on TSM caught in the crossfires can be, because, well, suddenly there's so many other crossfires they've got to try and be aware of or trade situations. There it is. They're going to see if they can kind of stack themselves up around that explosive. They're, as I said, moving towards the breach, but Merc, here it is on the other side, the triple wall inside Archives, looking for the close fight.
And wants to make sure that he gets the perfect angle there as he sets himself up. The can openers are being used to open up some of the hatches as well, just like the castle barricades. So no, everybody has dropped. However, that doesn't mean safety quite yet. Napiu is still alive, can use these hatches to rotate around wherever he wants, and that might be exactly what he will do at some point in time if he feels it's necessary. 30 seconds though, and that means that TSM needs to start pushing the site. There's some pressure coming through from the side of the elevators. It's Sepper actually at the bottom of the square, looking to go more aggressive into the archives area. And with Gio now pushing up from the top, it's the same for Chalet to pick up a kill. 14 seconds in a 3-on-3 situation. They need to force themselves through. Nay goes down. It is DCH in a crucial position who picks up one, finds the second and drops the diffuser. It's a triple kill for him. Oh, from the same cubicle. As you toss your pen away, it is Elevate that win a very important round here.
DCH went huge there, buried in the back line. The only paperwork he was doing was which TSM members he just took out of the game, holding as a backline. And I said that Elevate sort of maybe had an advantage when things started to open up because they could play more of these cross angles and make things awkward for the smaller man count on their opponents. But then suddenly, wow, who needs cross angles? I'll just swing from one to the next to the next. A fantastic hold on that back line of the single player. And 4-4, we stay level.
Yeah, we're not doing any big leads for the side of TSM now. They were getting close, even though the time, of course, was running out otherwise. And they had an option to actually try and take the fight a bit more carefully to DCH there, but he had none of it. He just shut them down as they had to flood the side due to the little amount of time that was left. And now, we head back to the lockers. The open area has been won. That is a mission success for Elevate. Now they need to try and find one more on that bottom floor, just to ensure that they are the ones in the lead this time around, and of course put up some success in the potential rotation that is starting to develop itself as well. What they failed to do within CEO, they of course might have to come back there at some point.
I mean, Elevate, they stuck themselves in, they locked it down, and now we're heading down, obviously, to lockers. First time we're seeing this from their side, and this hold, the extension with Castle onto that back line, gives them that rotation onto the main stairs. They might try and play and bait some of that length of time on the top floor that we've seen a lot of teams do. You can be in a dangerous spot if your opponents are very good at droning, which, to be fair, TSM, they have been. They've been really good at sort of getting an idea of where the players are and going for the takes. You can't always account for a single player popping off and getting a 3K, but still, the work before then, the work in the build-up to that situation was all very well put together. Bolo, he's going in now. He's found himself comfortable inside the CEOs and rotating onto Banana towards the top elevator. He might try and put a quick bout of pressure down onto these stairs, moving very swift.
Cannot forget the double kill from Napiu before, as well as a Nitro is going to be tossed and popped, but no one will be found. TSM for now, hold on. That's one piece of utility less they will have to worry about in the late game, but this is a mirror window for an extension. Together with the castle barricades, it is going to be that open area hold that comes into place. Onigiri gives away that there is at least someone at that very first floor as Merc goes for a bit of a chase. It's him that takes a lot of damage here. He finds one, actually deals a lot of damage to him as he gets challenged by the second, finds that head, goes for the third. Again, as DCH is low on HP, so is Merc as he finds himself right behind the mirror window yet once more. He knows he will be hunted by Merc and the remaining players of TSM, but Nay will be able to shut down Bolo. That at least brings the number count back towards even.
Achieved now, swinging around the top of the main stairs, going to see if he can try and trip his way down. DCH is looking for a fight there across the core towards Tellers. It's Merc, and well, both of them are pretty injured. It just takes a scratch through any of the scenery in the middle to find a kill, and DCH actually is a little bit more cautious about this engagement. He's going to pull back. Nay is also heftily injured. It's still the site down in the basement itself. They've done a lot to waste time and play against players up top. They took Bolo, took a couple of grenades, and took the trouble to trade for a castle. Well, it's not the end of the world there. Onigiri is a huge hot player, but in terms of utility there between the two, the Anas lost more.
Sure, hatches are being opened up. Merc low on HP, but will be in a position where he can still hold this angle for an eventual execute later on to try and stop any potential rotating players from getting back into that site. Now, there is 30 seconds left on the clock. There is going to be 3 smoke canisters as the first just has been popped and the second is put into a position to detonate later on. There's going to be concussions to be tossed in, and Nerix playing close around the main stairs will be in an important fight actually to come in soon. If they lose that control, then suddenly the red hallway might fall as well. That is a mirror window that's currently being held. The plants will be coming in quite close. The cover will not be there quite. The Sapper tries to play around with a shotgun and tosses the smoke instead. It's going to take a lot of damage there. With 5 seconds left, it's Nerix that picks up yet another kill.
There it is, the smoked out on the far side, can't get the connection, and Nerix locks it off. The final one comes through for Elevate. They have been able to pull themselves into the lead for the first time this game so far, 5-4, and it was a little bit of a misconnection there. You could see they tried to shove the diffuser down, get the kit planted, and the little drop of the smoke canister, the pop just before the player was removed as well, was that massively influential second, taking care of that diffuser planter and taking care of the kit. 5-4. Executive CEO, we head back to the only site that TSM have been able to attack so far and actually take the success, and they're going to have a little bit of a team talk before we get there.
Logically so. I mean, they've just lost 2 rounds where time seemed to have been the main issue there. I think we can stay. This one ran out. They had to go for a push. Of course, they were a man down. Same actually goes for the round right before. They were low on time, had to push, walked right into DCA, just triple kill. And like this, these big plays are being created as Bolo just continues to play with his mouse. These nice flicks. It's all about the mouse control.
It's the highlight reel.
It's the highlight reel, indeed. Million subscribers want to see that every now and then as well. So the mouse flick highlight.
Again, should we see if production can set up an extra camera? Just
for the mouse flicks?
Just for the mouse flicks. Imagine that. Every other player it's a face cam, and then Bolo it's a face and a hand cam.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? Maybe
only the best for the best.
Only the best indeed.
CEO, we are heading back in now, and as I said, Elevate, they are able to put themselves ahead for the first time this entire game. It's not really been a massive insurmountable lead that TSM's held. The biggest difference was around difference of 2.
Yep.
But still, if you look at this site that we're up against now, it's the only one TSM have taken on their attack out of the 3 that we've seen so far. If Elevate somehow are able to adapt it and bring it home, suddenly they're sitting on map point, and suddenly TSM, they found themselves on the backside of 3 wrong rounds, and they've got to at least thread 2 to get themselves to OT.
There's a lot to adapt to, because it was a double entry that came through on the side of TSM towards Elevate, and you know, you just gotta put it like that. If that grenade wouldn't have landed, it would have just been that one-man disadvantage. And in the end, it did come quite close. I believe it was a 2v1 situation in the end that was won by TSM. So, you know, if those double entries do not go their way, if you actually get that very first kill, suddenly that's a big adaptation already, and suddenly 2 men extra to fight with at that very moment. And that should be a very big help as well for their setup. So I'm having quite some faith actually in the fact that Elevate might be able to pick up this round here and put themselves onto 2 map points. Potentially take up this first map against TSM as well.
Someone's working in stock. Oh no. Oh wait, it's just a fake. Imagine if people could do that with their real jobs. Imagine if you could just, for anyone who works an office job or a service job, imagine just being able to like leave them behind like the retail till. I would have loved that for the years I worked in retail.
During the pandemic, there were a lot of people that had like 2-3 hour long meetings where you weren't supposed to talk. They just recorded a video of themselves and put it on loop.
Perfect. Genius.
Perfect. It's basically a Prisma.
Basically a Prisma.
They won't find out until they shoot right through it.
And the real Nay? Are they eyeing up a jump out? I mean, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing, and anything to take a windfall away from them. We've seen several players hurtle themselves out of those bank windows. It's sort of maybe the most famous Hail Mary throw, because you'll take a kill, you'll likely die. That's really the trade-off. The return is so far away. There he goes. And he's going to see if he can get in this new solid cubby just on the far split. And
he's just staying up there. He's
sort of sit. Time. Exactly. This is it. You sit, you wait, you waste time. Merc has to go hunting. He's going to see if he can get it locked. There's also the Capitao above, who might try and get a connection there. Oh, not a Capitao even. It's Chalet on the zero.
No.
There it is. Merc's able to find the fight. Sorry, I saw the logo from so far away. I just see green, and I think Capitao. I don't know why.
That's a 0. But for a second there, you know, a lot of the shots were actually missing. I was afraid of the fact that, you know, he might be able to just go for a bit of a flick there and find the head instead. But as I said, you know, you're wasting time at that point. They know you're there. There's not really anything they can do. Repelling is definitely not an option, so you need to run to get in the right position. DCH, however, finds himself in the opportunity now to go for another jump out as well. Wonder if they go for just 2 of them and then again start wasting time. This time, however, Gio is quite close, so it's not going to be the best of opportunities, but he does still find the kill. That is going to be one of the members that was repelling down, and as the flashbangs are being tossed in right now, a new repel appears. DCH still could go for it technically, but not very soon anymore as a grenade comes in from below and will finish him off. Bolo gets the trade.
He was already massively injured. It didn't take that much of a direct connection to get him off the board, but they found one anyway. Merc as well puts the body balance back into their favor. One either side of the janitor's wall, and suddenly it is just Sapper. Now, he hasn't, as I said before, had the biggest impact on this game, but if his Echo drones and the Echo himself could be the connection, that could be the lock-in pushes, sees the side and Sliver drops it. It's an old ping. There's just both behind you. There's one. He's got to reload. He gets it. Sapper! Didn't have the biggest impact before, but it will be so hard to highlight a single player's impact bigger than what we just saw. 6-4.
And that will be a map point here coming in from Elevator. They're smiling for it. What a play that was. He was afraid about an alt ping still being there. He tried to go for it, but of course it all started off with Nay jumping out, wasting a lot of time on Merc. And yes, he was able to fight back. He was able to put a triple kill of himself on the board, but after that, it was the first kill. On the swing in from the window, he managed to pick up. Then he was afraid of the fact that one might still be there. Forced to swap over to the Bearing 9. Reloading, last second, finds the headshot. What a play that was.
I mean, it was a moment to shine, wasn't it? To that point, he'd only got his first kill over the past 2 rounds. And then he does a play like that. It's a heck of a clutch. 6-4 TSM. You are 2 rounds away from pulling it to OT on your map selection. A map that so far your history in just this tournament was a 7-1 for you and then a 2-7 against you. This one is, well, whichever way it goes, a lot more even, but I'm sure you want it to be pulled into your pocket at this point because, well, there's still points to be played for, obviously. The Furia game versus DZ is happening on the other stream. And with DZ and Elevate both sitting on 4 points and TSM sitting on 7, if Elevate take the 3 points from this, they will top TSM because they'll have the head-to-head there. Yeah. But then if DZ take the 3 points,
then they will be knocked down into at least 3rd place on TSM side.
Because DZ have the head-to-head against TSM and Elevate have the head-to-head against both American teams.
Yeah, so they will be in 1st place. So winning this with a 2-0 is going to be the big dream here for the side of Elevate, because then suddenly a team that looked like might have been relegated out yesterday if they would have lost against BDS with a 2-0 is finding themselves in the 1st seat. That's how crazy it can get. You could go literally from 5th to 1st in the couple of 2 games here. And that is what they're trying to achieve. And with a clutch like that from the side, a Sapper is definitely going to be helping out. Mirror window will be destroyed. There's no one in a position to get them off of Narix's mirror window. And that means he will potentially have to fall back. Bolo, however, is on a bit of a hunt, and as Nay is waiting to go for the jump up here, it's Bolo that actually quickly checks the elevator, but now is not going to be that aware of it anymore. If the pressure starts to come through, he might go for that jump up and might actually pick up Bolo. He's on his drone right now. This is the perfect moment to jump up.
I mean, it's really just a trade-off here. Nay has intel. Nay has an idea. Nay hasn't gone just yet. It is quite loud. There's another man on a drone. There's another eye set locked in. He's up. He's up. He's down. He just got caught by the drone at the last split second. He's found his way out of there. It was almost a moment.
The drone just coming through, basically stopping that play from happening just in time for the side of TSM, because that could have been detrimental. The first kill comes in, however. It's on the side of TSM. They make sure that Nerix is no longer going to be a threat for the rest of this round, and as Onigiri is hiding in a very close corner here on the bottom of square, he could be in a crucial position to shut them down later on, as the Chief takes a lot of damage from some verticality. He's on one. He needs to live, but continues to open up for now at least. As Sapper playing that mirror window till the rest of the bottom of square. Nay now in a gunfight here with Merc is not going to be able to find that kill. A 2-man advantage for TSM, and they need to make sure that this one sticks.
Onigiri is the crossfire all the way through to Archives. He's waiting for somebody to swing a little bit wider, but there's a lot of work being done on the top floor here still. DCH suffers next. Bolo wants to set himself up for the drop. They're burning out everything, and he finds himself comfortable. This grenade is going right into that corner cubicle, and that player pulls out, but they are pulled out of it. DCH dropped. Zappa's able to find Chalet in and amongst the mess of this all, and Zappa goes down himself. It's 2 downs, 1 now, and just 1 player left on their feet. All of the TSM players generally in one close corner with 1 split. It's Bolo to lock off the 2-6-5.
Managed to find 1 there, but not more than that, and as they did just drone out the Orcs. It unfortunately did not have the impact that we would like it to have, because that could have been the end of the round for TSM there if you managed to jump up and pick up the double kill as a result. And 6-5 current score will still be going. 1 more map point Elevate have available to them, and they'll choose to go back to the lockers to do so. It's a time or the actual place where time got drained before on the side of TSM, and they need to make sure that that doesn't happen again. They need to speed it up just ever so slightly, but as there is going to be a bunch of throwables available, as in 2 C4s and 3 smoke canisters, it might be a bit difficult to get that default plan down.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
TSM, 1 round away from pulling yourself into OT. You've got to go down to lockers, and this was chaotic. I think that's the thing that we sort of saw when it came down to it, is try to jump down, get the plant in, try to see if they could get it stuck in and amongst the madness. A last-ditch, last-gasp smoke canister that popped off took care of the diffuser carrier, and suddenly TSM found themselves with about 10 seconds and a handful of elevator players still scattered around going for aggressive firefights. At that sort of mantle that everybody's wiggling on, it's usually going to be Elevate that find that stability, because they are on that defense. They have that time working into their favor. Have the same stretch, have the same extensions, have the same angles, and I'm curious to see if TSM have more of an idea of who they want to pick out first, because there was almost more engagements going into their favor in the early game.
Definitely was. Looking to make sure that they have the early advantage again. Overall, so far, 8 of the opening kills have gone their way in these 11 rounds. That means only 3 in the hands of Elevate. So the opening moment is not really the issue. It is Elevate that managed to come back time and time again. And as Nate does find out, the player of Bolo here, that's the rappel, and that is going to be the kill right on time. And that is the opening frag here for Elevate. And then I'll bring you another stat. Every single time Elevate did manage to get the opening kill, they did win the round, which is 3 out of 3 times so far. So let's see if they can continue that.
I mean, I did point it out, Pulse in that room is so dangerous. Really just has a great lead in there. You see that extension, especially when teams love to play in that space. And, well, Bolo won't unfortunately be able to play in that space this round. It's up to the remaining 4 TSM players if they want to see if they can try and solidify all of the points and put that pressure down on this, their map pick, their choice, before we head over to Oregon as the second fill-in, which, to be fair, it still has been a good battle, a good sort of field for both teams, but the most recent experience comes in that BDS game, a 7-5. Merc, slow and steady, creeps his way around. There's a body to his left and to his right. There's one just in the corner cubicle. It's Onigiri, drops the drone, just sees the player and finds him too. Merc is caught out. DCH came round to offer some support, but there's more fire coming through. Onigiri is found. Taken out of the equation, but look at the timer, 1:10, pretty much about to be on our screens in 5 seconds. And here, TSM is still trying to knock on the door above the site.
This was the issue. The time was an issue for TSM the last time they were here, and now they're on a man down and still do not have control of the open area. Drones are coming through. Is DCH been droned? Yeah, he definitely has been. They should be aware. Actually,
No, he wasn't.
aware.
They went straight past him into kitchen. DCH pops up, pops two. He's going for his third triple kill. No, he dips out of the office. Chalet dips down too. He's chasing a man, and well, that is all they could get. Elevate 7-5 on this first map. They're able to steal bank from TSM.
Was it really a steal, though? Was it really a steal? I mean, maybe with that clutch of Sapper, it was indeed a steal.
Well, it's a steal because it's TSM's map.
That's
very the
true.
steal.
They stole that one away from them, and Sapper with that amazing 1v3 clutch as well. Definitely coming in clutch right here, and it means so much to them. They're so happy about it. They took a map off the big TSM, as many would see them. The smiles are all around, and they know that there is going to be, of course, more maps underway. Oregon will be up next. That is their own map pick, and that is where they need to try and make sure that they beat TSM with a 2-0 if they want to take that first seed. And with that, go to the upper bracket, something that potentially not many people would have expected them to be. And of course, with the extra live, but also the less game to play.
I mean, that's the thing about this, is we talked about it before. Any of these teams can still generally end up, because the Furia game, the DZ game, is ongoing on the other stream. BDS, the team that's already eliminated, do not play at all. This is 2 seeding games that could entirely shuffle the 4 names that we had in the order at the beginning of this day. All the way to the end.
It's almost that EU ranked seems to be working out quite well for the side of Elevate. Maybe someone should start scrimming them. I mean, they are putting up quite a good performance here. But before we go up to that second map, we'll toss it quickly to a break. See you soon.
Welcome back to this TSM versus Elevate. We have just seen the first map. It was TSM's pick of Bank, and it was Elevate's pick of, well, we want this. And they were able to lock it out in standard time, but it was as close to that as possible.
It was very close. 7-5 in the end was that scoreline. Elevate were able to bring it home, and mostly due to a clutch from Sapper, of course, a 1v3 with the Echo, where he managed to just find the diffuser, thought there was someone else repelling in. Of course, not the case in the end, and then swung around with a bearing 9 to go for 1-for-1, and eventually finding both. Overall, the entries seem to be really in favor of TSM. 8 for them, whilst there was only 4 on the side of Elevate, and that is an impressive stat. However, all entries on Elevate led to an eventual round win. The plans were in favor of Elevate, 2 for them, 1 for TSM, and neither team was able to put up a flawless round. Merc, he did quite well, dropped 15 kills, but unable to carry TSM across that finish line.
Yeah, I think that's it, is we saw some big gunplay, but you have to look at when Elevate were able to get theirs connected. On the attacks there, TSM, they couldn't quite get it fully sort of flushed out and put together, and Elevate, especially with the works of Clutches of DCH, and obviously that unbelievable one from Sapper, they kept on being able to just cause repeated problems for that close down game of TSM. They kept on leaning in, having these single round pop-offs of a player that defined the round itself. And although TSM pretty much every single round got them to 2 players, 1 player left, it's just that last player proved really tough to kill.
Yeah, definitely so. The last player seems to keep on bringing problems to the side of TSM. Sorry, I had to quickly mute there.
I like how you didn't actually have to say that you did that.
I just did it, but
you just told people.
Because I just stopped talking out of nowhere. It would be weird if I just continue after a second in the middle of a sentence. I had to go for a quick cough there. Anyway, yes, 1-0 currently for Elevate, and we're headed over towards Oregon, the map pick of Elevate themselves. The question here will be, is TSM going to be able to bring it back? I'm not quite sure what's going on the other side of things, but they also know that if Elevate take this map, they will be bumped down into at least the 2nd place, potentially even a 3rd. Not that the difference between those two really matters. You end up at the same side of the bracket, of course, but you want to get that 1st seed because it is so beneficial. And that is currently what, of course, is going to be attempted by Elevate to seize, to steal away from TSM. As many would have expected them to be at that top spot. Those predictions. Oh, all those channel points.
32-68. Most of you think that Oregon's going to be a bit of a better show for TSM. And as I said with Oregon, they know how to play it. They know how to bring it. They obviously brought a game the other day against BDS. 7-5 it went, and it was BDS, you know, technical full strength, but obviously they'd only just been able to pull the player in earlier on in the day, so there's still probably going to be a step up here for them to have to deal with against Elevate.
For sure, there needs to be a step up here to figure out how they're going to be dealing with this. Now, the floors will be banned first. Quite a logical decision, actually. It is a very strong operator on a map like this, especially if you are thinking about the bottom, the elbow area. There's often quite a bunch of shields and utility there. You're going to be able to dig one around the corner quite easily without too much trouble. So if you do manage to take out that shield, suddenly elbow is completely free, and it makes it just a lot more difficult. The finger to be removed as well by Elevate. Default ban, it seems to be at this moment in time, potentially a Valkyrie coming up as well. No, actually the mirror to be removed, whilst they use it quite a bit. And now the last ban will be up to TSM. I'm going to try it again. Could be Valkyrie, potentially, totally not without any other influences, as she is a very often banned operator. Yeah, there we go.
Just go. Get her out of here. Get rid of Falcon. I guess limit that sort of stretch and rotation. It's the, you know, the Flores and the Finker. I'm not going to go as far to describe those as standard bans, but I think they are fair to be put into the label of more common bans. They're not the rarest. Yes. They're not the shiny legendary bans.
No.
They're not the Amaru or the Ossa ban. I mean, those are very particular bans. But these are understandable bans because, you know, Finker is that big sort of drive. Finker is a force in the right hands, that LMG, combined with the fact that you can sort of keep yourself being picked up and healed, go for these quick pushes and plays. Some teams, it's not that they've built a reliance on her, but they've definitely found a great way to utilize her. And if they believe TSM is a team that is that, then they're going to take rid of it. And at the same time, Flores, you look at holds like Blue and Elbow, you look at, you know, even the opposite side of that, you look at anywhere on the top floor, if they're around Trophy or around Attic, and what those drones can do, what those retirees can do. It's not the most common ban, but it's entirely understandable.
Especially on a map, of course, of Oregon, which we just mentioned. There's so much utility that just makes this map as strong as it is for the defense. But take that all away, and suddenly the attack is having a much better time to attack everything here. And making sure that your utility stays up is, with that, quite important. So TSM, who are starting off on the defense, really do not want to deal with these explosive Retiro drones coming around the corner and all just deliver them a bad day.
I'm curious to see how much of a hold stays up top. Okay, we've started to get some of the players coming back here. TSM, they can give them a stretch, and they're still doing setup on the top floor, but for a while it was just a single player on side the site, and it might still be. There's one in Freezer with a rotation and the chance to swing around elsewhere, and if Elevate go quick, if Elevate apply some pressure here underneath, they might be able to cut themselves across a huge angle. Scrapes the side of Napier. Bolo. He's looking for that aggression towards Zulu, but otherwise Elevate, they're rotating around underneath and burning themselves into kitchen.
Need to be careful though, because there is of course a player on that hatch above, and that is Merc. They need to make sure that they get rid of him before they start pushing into that kitchen. Bolo now providing a bit of support as well. Will be aware of the fact that there is indeed that opening that, you know, they could potentially use, and as Nerix takes quite a bit of damage here from a shotgun around the attic area. It could have been a rotation or a sightline that was still being created, but Achieved have found someone without him even realizing. And as that, oh, that is some unlucky siege timing coming through from Onigiri there. Had the opportunity for a free kill, went for the pre-fire, goes for two! Onigiri opens up and Elevate have the double entry.
Onigiri, and that's why LMGs are in the spot that they are right now. Didn't have to stop firing and still has 85 bullets left after a continual engagement that covered about 4 walls and 2 different players. Achieved and Merc both taken off the board. That allows Elevate to move into the kitchen. Onigiri's still watching for a rotation, but Bolo and Gio, they've rotated down. They're going to see if they can try and apply some support here. There is a minute 20 on the clock. There's time that can be burnt. There's time that can be wasted. It's not going to be easy, though. Elevate, they've got themselves a bit coordinated. They're looking for the push here onto the back of tower stairs. At the same time, there was smiling up there of Freezers. They're actually kind of juggling between Freezer with a single body onto Laundry. No. Seems like they're going to go for the Laundry here in the main E-box hatch. That grenade bounces its way around, doesn't quite get the full connection. Bolo's battling back here onto Pillar, slithers his way closer, and then swung into, but Nay is able to lock it off. Gio with a huge take back against the top of the stairs. The smoke canister stops Freezer. Onigiri is still going. Brr. Finally ended, though, and cut off by a shotgun. Charla, 40 seconds, all that's left.
40 seconds indeed, and Charla has the opportunity now to get another appreciation post made about himself here. Flashbangs are coming through, the plant is attempted as well, and as a smoke canister is tossed in, Separate takes a small amount of damage. That was the last piece of utility he owned, and with that, that now means he needs to go for these gunfights. Openings are still being created as Nerix, of course, carries a small shotgun as well. That creates a new opening, a new opportunity to go for a plant. That grenade comes in, but DCH finds him first. And it is Elevate that win the very first round here on Oregon on the back of Onigiri. With that double entry on that top floor, suddenly they did not have to worry about that anymore, and they could just hit the site.
A huge opening there for Elevate. Obviously, that scream up White Stairs to find a fight with 2 different players on 2 different angles was big. To then go into the next and go for the push on the site, take care of Bolo. They seemed to have the read that he was going to try and swing up the stairs, and they just sort of trusted that they could hold the angle and take the engagement against him. It was to fairness, it wasn't the worst thing for Bolo to try and do. At that point, you sometimes got to try and bite back, see if you can pull something out of the cart before it actually rattles its way towards the site itself. Elevate, they handed it over, and I guess my curiosity is there at the start. Are we going to see all the players down towards the site? The answer was no, but it's mainly because Elevate just decided to run up and absolutely tear through them.
Yeah, I was going to say, they didn't really get the opportunity to get back to the side anymore because there was an LMG that swung around the corner and Onigiri able to pick up a triple kill with a double entry, more importantly. Now, 1-0 in the lead, Elevate is. They need 6 more rounds and they'll find themselves at number 1 of the group. And with that, warm the hearts of the Apex South and just Apex fans in general. Join Damwon Kia, of course, at the top of it. There will be 2 top-seeded Apex teams. What is the last time there would have been an opportunity for that?
I think it would be a first.
I think it's a first as well. And I don't know if it's ever been close to get to a situation like this. But fact being is that is currently 6 rounds away from happening. Potentially. Could be more. I mean, we could go all the way to OT and Elevate, lock it out there, and then it would still happen. If, however, this map goes TSM's way, that dream will not be going through.
Okay, now as the approach starts to come here across the top, we are seeing a much more reserved hold from TSM. The footprints, they're found. The ping comes on the Wamai, who is all the way down in sight. TSM, they've decided they want to try and batten down their hatches and hold firm, and that allows Elevate to start their work here across the top. E-Box is going to be the first bit blown open, see if they can isolate the player playing towards blue. It looks like they want to try and counter-peek this, and if they're not ready for it, this might go away from them as soon as that drops. No, pulled themselves back. Gio had an idea, but he turned out he didn't think it was a very good one.
Yeah, and now he's allowed to continue peeking and swinging that corner, and so it's going to be a good shield far in. That, if that gets reached by a Gon 6 or an impact here, that could mean the end of Merc in his current position. At least he would take a lot of damage here. He has to be very careful of him. A couple of shots already being put in. That is going to be the very first. It's going to be a stun towards Bolo. Will be followed up by a potential impact. Maybe, maybe not. It is at least a little bit of damage done by Merc towards Onigiri as he falls back into a secondary position here. And as right one now on the back stairs, he's looking to make a play instead.
Yeah, DCH is holding himself off right now. They're trying to see if they can get an early pick, but the difference is TSM aren't handing them anything. They have themselves their angles, they have themselves their hold, but Gio hasn't been forced out of a position and achieved forces that stair kill. DCH is gone. They've now lost that sort of corner pin on their site itself, and the diffuser, I believe, is currently sitting above E-Box, so they need some pressure from Nay and Nerix, but they've got to get past Chalet, who's just holding on to elbow. Onigiri, he's looking for a fight. It's just covered by those bags. Merc left and right, but nobody's coming on the freezer side, so it's going to be that confrontation that burns the first, the reveal. Onigiri can put himself back. 30 seconds. Sapper has retaken the mantle on the back side of the stairs. Just misses the spray. Bolo sure doesn't. Up through the opening on the single wall. Nay has been able to get to a position to try and swing around, but look where the diffuser is. It's so isolated. Has to take the fight. Chalet pops up, drops down. Nerix gets one back, but Onigiri gets frozen out of freezer. Nerix is suddenly all that's left with 10 seconds, no diffuser, and still 4 TSM players locked in. Well, this is TSM, one apiece.
And no opening given here to the side of Elevate this time around. And as he finds one and flicks to the second, the time runs out and you stay alive. But it is TSM to pick up a round, an important round here on their defense. They surely didn't want to start this off with an 0-2, so them picking up the laundry side as well allows them to continue their rotation, which will be going up to the dorms. Up to the top floor they go. And as they are bringing that castle and the Goyo yet once more, there is going to be always that need for these explosives, for these grenades to be used against utility rather than used against personnel. And that might actually help them here.
I do like that TSM lent against what Elevate did. I think they sort of looked towards how quick they came across the top, how much they lost across the top, and went, well, we can try and stop this, we can solidify ourselves. I'm curious if that's going to be a method of growth they try throughout all of their sites and holds from now on their defense, or if they just build some confidence from it and then go from that point onwards, realize that, well, we can do this play, and now we can go back to sort of stretching the map a little bit once they have some of the early Oregon rust shaken off.
Elevate on their entry kills is still 100% out of the 5 they got in the entire series. All 5 of them led towards rounds, whereas TSM had a total of 9, with only leading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's not too bad. They still managed to translate the majority of them into rounds, but you know, it shows how important that entry kill might be, especially for a team like Elevate, who really lives on the back of it.
Elevate, they have their width. They have Onigiri going for a crawl entrance all the way at the bottom of blue. Might try and charge up tower, or actually he's opting for just a bit of a hunt. He's going to see if he can find a loose player, but TSM, Bolo, he is a little bit further away. They also have that player at the top of the first tower stairs around T0 or T1. What do you use?
Isn't it T1, 2, 3?
Yeah, that's what I use, but you know how like Americans use like ground floor? Yeah. Oh no, English people use ground floor and Americans use like first floor.
So the top one is 3, and you just start counting down from there.
3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Go.
Oh, indeed. I was going to say, Bolo finding a drone, unfortunately not a player. We'll fall back just a slight bit here as Nay is working on creating some lines of sight into the attic. His work is definitely going to be heard at some point, especially when the metal plating falls out. Seems that they now know. They also saw some of these openings that have been created. And that is fine. But at least it means that Merc is going to try and hold it now on a bit of a crouched level. If he walks in standing, they might be able to pick up the kill instead. As Gio gets a bit of a spot from the Jekyll, he's forced to relocate as a result. You never know if there's a grenade hiding from below.
I think that's it. The Jackal is really going to play into that game later on if it becomes a big problem. Pops that mute jammer, frees that drone, and a slow creep over attic as Bolo pulls himself further and further away. Onigiri, he's trying to get some of that electronics underneath. He's trying to make sure that they can get the breach and start applying some pressure here. The grenade.
Did they get through?
Apparently so.
3 ADSs out there, and somehow the grenade still makes it through. It might have just been perfectly tossed on the highest possible way, scraping the ceiling and landing right at the right spot, and Merc lost all of the support he had to keep on to the attic. He now needs to do it himself. There's still a bit of barbed wire left that will at least slow them down, but as the push seems to be coming in from the games room as well, it is Merc now stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Here's the Barb being pushed, wants to try and push back and bite, but it's Nerix that suffers first. Charla with a little bit of support there as Merc's able to find DCH, throws him out. Sapper on trophy swing, gets one. Onigiri's still on the door, and they have walk-in open. They need a little bit more of the cross swing and control. Merc is that pressure point now, and he's not going to win that. It's a trade out even, actually. Just popped each other's heads at the right time, and it does get one of those players, but they still don't have that control. That's the precious bit. They're just watching Onigiri. They know that he was around that position. They have the bulletproof set up and stacked for as soon as they might try and deep dive for a plant. Charla can swing onto one side. Bolo and Gio can swing on the other. Well, only one of them can. Onigiri's able to take the head off of one. Gio battles back, and it's Charla to lock off Sapper.
Taking a small amount of damage there. Not quite sure where the final kill did go through. It was through the smoke canister. Would explain that small amount of chipping damage he was taking as we went on. And TSM, they stop the approach of Elevate, but it did get quite close. It might have been a better opportunity to actually go for a plant close on the corner and have the support from the trophy room ready, standing by. But of course they knew as well, just all they need in that case is get a nice swing onto Sapper, get the kill onto the diffuser carrier, and suddenly the round is lost. And TSM, they win their second. They now push towards the meeting hall to complete their rotation before they're allowed to go back to laundry.
Okay, TSM, you started to cook yourself a little bit cleaner of a cake here, and it started with pulling yourselves back again, but this is a site where you don't really have that freedom. It's so much wider than the others. It is a big sort of bout of play space, especially with picking onto that stage side and meeting. The thing is, though, usually with takes on this, you'll sometimes see a sort of singular direction onto the site itself. You'll always have a presence above. You need attic control, you need that confidence from that second story, or if you're going for the kitchen side, well, you probably still need some of the attic control, but you definitely need dorms, and they're usually attached at the hip. However, at that point, then it turns into a drive. Are you going to go for the stage side, or are you going to go for kitchen? Often it's one or the other. You don't see too many split push and attempts, and usually they're last ditch, but I mean, I guess you got to be prepared for anything when you're playing against APAC.
That's it, you're going to be ready. And to bring some creativity here and there. I know Cyclops, of course, does as well. Have the opportunity to still make it out of groups actually today, but everything needs to go that way. I believe Rogue needed to lose 2-0 and Cyclops needs to win 2-0. That way we wouldn't have another team to be relegated from the APAC region at the cost of a European one. So
another European.
Yeah, another European team. So it's either or. One of the two regions is going to lose 2 of them, and it looks like NA is going to be able to escape with every single team.
I was going to say they're the only region.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a relegated team. I don't know if that sticks all the way through. If that's like is that an inked statement now?
Yeah, that is an inked statement. There is no way I think that NA, according to my calculations, they're usually quite correct.
Onigiri is just setting up some protection of a flank underneath, and Ney is able to take care of Bolo there. Took a bit of damage on the swing round, but the grenade is cooked, and as I said, addict control is kind of pointing towards a trophy push and take here, but you're going to see if you can get a little bit further forward. Waits for a swing to maybe come back round as that wall gets open itself onto stage. There is a stack up here, a potential swing round of that close door, but it's Chalet that gets taken by Nerix on the far angle all the way across the back line. Merc, he's keeping himself alive, but pulls himself back during that smoke canister because he might be needed later. The Twitch drone is able to take care of all those ADSs. He chose the perfect time to get out of there.
It's going to be one more smoke canister left for them to use. Ney holding on a tight angle here as well. Achieve sneaking around the corner, might be spotted out. It leaves, the drone gets spotted, the call will be made. Achieve takes a small amount of damage and will fall back into a secondary position right here. Grenades are being tossed in as well to at least force him into some way or another. If that gun shield gets blown up, that's Achieve. There you have it. Ney with the right call there. And now he has the opportunity to start dropping in the kitchen and hit them from the back. Merc close with the shotgun, could wipe them all out. Gets 1, gets 2. No, he doesn't even get them at all. It is Elevate that yet again translate an opening kill into a round as they continue with their own, well, trend here. They're making sure that they're bringing it back to equal. And they get a second attacking round, looking for a third now.
Back to Laundry, back to the site where it all opened up, and the back and forth site that we've seen so far. So far, the only 100% success has been Dorms, but we've only seen it once. It's early game, and well, if Laundry goes this way, we'll probably see it as the second, and if Laundry doesn't, well, we might see it anyway, because at that point Laundry is slightly further away from TSM's handle. They might feel more confident going back to the Dorms hold that they had, because to be fair, it was pretty well locked in, minus a little incident with some ADSs and a grenade that just soared on by.
Yeah, for sure. And now, finally, we did see one of those Vulcan shields going the wrong way. Someone hiding behind it, but instead being picked up as a result. It was the right call by Ney, actually, just to fire that one bullet. You never know someone behind it. If they are, you get a free kill. Otherwise, well, it just only will hinder you for the rest of that round if he still sticks around on that top floor. So, as a result, he could put some pressure elsewhere. No, that was needed in the end, as Elevate was able to just push through the bridge and get that very final kill. 2-2.
2-2. And I think that's the story right now is, you know, we've only really had obviously the one timeout that happened on the side of TSM in the opening map of Bank. If Elevate can lock this out, then they've locked out the series, and we won't find ourselves heading to our final decider map of Chalet, which, to be fair, is going to be kind of hotly contested. It's a map that Elevate were able to take off of Dark Zero, but it's generally a good map inside NA, and obviously they also lost it against BDS, Elevate did. So it's sort of been a bit of a back and forth for them. Nerix, he's finding his way in on the top. Gonna look for some feet and see if he can try and use those to pressure, but TSM, once again, by the looks of it, is going back to the method that worked, which is more bodies down below. The closest is Bolo, who's just sat at the top of Freezer stairs, but he's more than ready to rotate down if he needs to.
Definitely is. TCH now jumping down from T3 to Tier 2. For those of you wondering how it worked, now you know, as you just saw. Scans are coming through. Goyo will be spotted out, and as a vertical hole will be made to stop any TSM member from rotating aggressively back to the top from the Laundry stairs. There's an opportunity to pick them up, or at least make them afraid. More footsteps are being scanned, and that's another person that was roaming now back on the site. As they continue opening up the hatch. I'm always a bit afraid that it just suddenly opens up and you're just standing right on top of it. It is going to be a player right below. It's Merc trying to go for a bit of a fight. Of course, he cannot actually use the C4 because it would be eaten by the Surya laser gate. And as the opening is there, he fires a couple of shots, actually gives away his idea of playing out there. DCH is trying to sneak in one of these Twitch drones, take out some well-needed utility out there. That ADS might be crucial. It's now gone. It allows them to get a grenade, and if they get rid of the Wamai disc, that's just above that on a crosshair you just saw.
Onigiri, well, he knows what happens if he swings the corner, so he needs a little bit of pressure to come around elsewhere. And there goes that Twitch drone. Sounded like it did get caught just as it got to the bottom of the stairs itself. They are watching fervently. About to pass the minute marker now, and so far nobody has been able to be caught, but they're prepped and ready to rock and roll here. DCH, he's going to see if he can low armor smoke onto the back line. They're burning everything out. Geo slips his way into Harry Potter and waits for the approach over the side. It's a stun, and it's a bit of a burst of a gun there of Achieved, who's dancing either side of the fight through E-Box, but it's Geo that suffers most, and outside of Onigiri, taken over by Bolo on the far side. They're stacked up on the hatch. They're waiting to see if they can find a drop. DCH gets the one, but Polo still a back line. Core of the side itself sprays and allows Achieve to slip his way further back. 30 seconds. Charla's locked in, has the ADS, has a couple of players sort of flirting with the idea of danger, but with only 20 seconds left, it seems like Elevate are going for a big rotate.
Well, they have to. This is where the Flores ban comes into play for TSM. It's hard to take control of blue, and now they just cannot quite get the push like they wanted. Sapper dropping in will get a first kill. That is amazing for them. It's going to be Bolo that finds one back. Nerix as well. It's a 1-on-2 situation with 7 seconds on that clock. He needs to take control, but one will be inside Elbow. One will be inside the small cubby. Finds none, and Chalet gets the final kill. TSM will be shutting down that panic rotate at the end there to make something happen, but Elevate, they get quite close yet once more.
Curse. Habana's gun and a small amount of bullets was sort of that moment there, because the second fight that he swung onto with the SMG here, Sapper, he goes to that. If he had a gun with a little bit more stability, that could have been his as well, because they were surprised. He caught, obviously, the first engagement and was able to take that fight. Suddenly, as the push comes through on the opposite side as well, they're distracted. They're a bit disjointed. There was a body that was dropped inside that engagement. Left them, obviously, in a 2 versus 1 by the end, but still something like, I don't know, an LMG that doesn't stop firing.
LMG, I believe it's called, on the Sophia. There's a couple more, of course, with quite some bullets in it. Capital also has access to one. Finca, for example. And even Gridlock.
For anybody listening, do not give Habana an LMG. I love Habana, but that gun, for its limitations of was it 21 bullets or 27?
It's 20 bullets, but 1 in the chamber, so 21.
Oh, yeah.
Bearing 9 is 25, but 1 in the chamber, so 26 total. Which doesn't work with LMGs, because it's a belt fed.
Yeah.
So you cannot get 150, well, actually, you might be able to get 151 on the LMG, I think. But not with the other gun, if I'm correct. There's some guns that do not have the 1 in the chamber. I'm starting to doubt myself now.
Well, I'll leave that for you later. For now, we've got the possibility of an even half here on Elevate's attack
150
against Oregon. It does have a habit of sort of going back and forth here. TSM, they've been able to get themselves that guaranteed even. They've been able to keep themselves at bay. Obviously, it's not their map. They opted to lead in on the defense. They opted to try and have that as their story here. And Onigiri says, well, this is why it's ours. It's a really early take there, and it was a jump out by the looks of it of Bolo. Threw himself out that far window, but it was well read all the way on the shower side.
Yeah, he wanted to go for a breaching charge. They quickly decided to, you know what, let's just put a drone in first, just to make sure that there is no one standing the other way before I open it up. And as they do right now, some few holes have been made in the side of Attic, so there is some support on the side of Napier, who's trying to open up the wall now. They want to make sure that if there is any pressure coming down from the Attic side of things, they can at least stop it from becoming too bad. Smirk playing there yet once more. The last time a grenade was perfectly sailing over 3 ADSs, picking up the shield as a result. Nothing really that could be done against it. And yet another breaching charge will have to be used before they can actually start to open up. But successfully done so, because they had those 3 breaching charges on Onigiri, so well read by them.
Well, everything's stacked, but you can see that some of those ADS are in a slightly different position this time around with the hope of catching them. They obviously have achieved throwing as many discs as possible. That first one doesn't get caught. He looked for a second like he might swing into that fight, but instead pulled his way back. More grenades start to bounce their way around. That should get that shield. It does. And that stops them being able to swing out from that bedroom dorm's side. Now, as they try to flood their way in, Onigiri gets shut out by Merc, has the cross angle from the opposite side. They need to try and get some control. This is what we talked about before. Attic is vital if you want to make an entrance on that walk-in.
Yeah, for sure. Nay now trying to go for a bit of a rappel onto the dorms right there, hoping to find a potential rotate around or at least provide some cover for the push of Sapper to come through. Merc still in a crucial position. A grenade is being tossed over. That should let him ride on top of Chalet, but he lives somehow as he moves at the right position at the right time. Nerek's looking to go in from the trophy door and knows one could be right behind it. Spots a feet, shoots a bullet, but won't be quite able to hit the shot. A grenade, however, will be tossed towards the wide area. Now they know there's going to be one right behind the bunk beds here. The smoke start to push through, and that should be the call for Sepper to try and go for the plant. But he stays put inside of the actual cubby in the walk-in closet there, and he actually loses his life. It's Merc that gets a double kill, a triple kill in total before he gets shut down. And as there's 20 seconds left, it's Nay now coming up from the white stairs to try and salvage the round. Is he going to be able to do that, though? There's not that much time left. He needs to find them one by one. Finds the first, sees the pre-fire, so he knows when he's in the dorms. Has to swing around the corner, but it's a shotgun playing close. Gets taken out from Chalet. I believe that was from the dorms. Yes, it was indeed. It was a swing around the corner. And with that, that is the first entry kill. That does not translate into a round for the side of Elevate.
TSM, a 4-2-1/2, some even balanced siege there. They put themselves back into the game. They sort of read where things were disconnecting and found a way to get a response to it. They got themselves under a bit of control, but now they've got to see if they can set that pace themselves against Elevate's holds and defenses here. Off to a good start. If they're able to claim this first and get themselves into that 5-2 position with all that momentum behind them suddenly, this might turn into a little bit of a quicker story on map 2, and we'll find ourselves hurtling towards that Chalet. For now, we are going to start in the same way that we have before, down in Laundry, all the way down at that bottom floor. We have similar lineups, similar setups here for the play. It's a bit of a wait and burst of time with the mirror off the board. You're generally going to have more standard extensions, shields and bulletproofs. It's an Oregon hold.
It is indeed. It is an Oregon hold. And Elevate now onto that defense have the opportunity to show that they are good here, that this is their map and that they're looking to lock it off in a 2-0 fashion to take that very first seed. So starting to close up these hatches, create some rotations to provide a way in and out for these roamers and at least a way to fight if it all gets a little bit too hot underneath their feet.
Elevate haven't decided to call a tag timeout. This is going perfectly to plan for them so far. They feel like they'll be able to lock in more here on their defense. I mean, to be fair, 2 short rounds and the start of a rotation, and suddenly they've pulled themselves level. It is Oregon. It does have a preference on defense for a lot of teams. It's one of those ones that's sort of synonymous with defenders over the years, and although over this tournament we've generally seen more attackers across the board and across the general consensus of maps be that lead in here, though. Stats are out the window. It's only how you decide to play against this team that you're directly up against at this moment. The stretch of TSM is a huge bout of drones over the top of Freezer, over that kitchen side. They are looking to see if they can find anybody of Elevate, but Elevate, they're more curious about what's at the top of staircases for now.
Yeah, for sure. Achieve looking to push through the attic. Elevate slowly starting to jump back a little bit here. Drones are trying to find out some information to find that rotate. They know one is out there. It's just going to be a blind bang and a lot of damage done towards the Nigerian. The kill as well on the hands of Achieve, who starts off the round strong. It's a good read, actually. He found out there was a rotation there. There was no one right behind it. So just open up towards that staircase so you can hold a potential rotate back towards the actual site. It's a great start for TSM.
That's it, rewarded by that pre-fire, that angle, and although you often have an idea, being able to punish it is a very different story. Sapper, he's underneath and popping shotguns towards the work being done by Chalet on that Freezer hatch. He doesn't quite have the full read on a body, and he's playing quite dangerously for now for what is a lot of pockets of utility. You'll need those smokes later, and he's actually rotated further up, caught by a drone. He's sort of saying, fall, I'll catch you. But they're not going to fall for it. They're instead going to try and burst their way down to where he was before. Bowler takes a face of shrapnel to go for the fight itself, drops the camera, and has taken up a bit of a mantle as you see the rest of TSM players spreading themselves out.
First kill again coming in. Bolo finds an extra. That's now a 2-man advantage here for the side of TSM. Gemini Replicator will be used, spots a player out there. That means there is going to be a little bit of damage done with a smoke canister. Actually, not too much damage done. He was just outside of it. Nate playing close on the barrels, however, could have been detrimental for the side of TSM if Geo decided to push there with the diffuser, but he rotated around. It seems like it will be a laundry push in the end here, and as Merc spots out the head, it's the serial laser gate that gets reactivated. So need to use another piece of utility to throw it through. Shouldn't be an issue though. Geo carries a flashbang with him to get rid of any of those as a Nate just falls by. It's Merc that gets dropped and they have no clue that Achieve dropped right through the hatch.
Achieve has taken the drop, just slipped on past them. Nate's looking for them. He doesn't quite know where it's happening. And with 10 seconds, they're bursting their way through Freezer. They've got themselves in the sight. DCH, he's the lock-in. They know exactly where he is though. He's the only one left, finds one. But even then couldn't lock that one out. It is a flawless for TSM to open up. And as I said, that divide of 5-2 now. Getting their first attack, getting that drive and getting that power. They are truly trying to keep themselves at the top of the board.
Yeah, that is going to be leading them in well. And it all started off with Achieved with some smart thinking from him there. Spots the rotation, knows there is players around that backside. So the way back will be through those staircases as well. So just blind fires through. Not because there could have been a player there, but more so because they could rotate down there. And that is what he wanted to prevent. Finds a kill as a result, and from there on, TSM just continue to push on. And throughout this game so far, the opening kills have been quite even. 4 for TSM currently, 3 for Elevate. And of course, the first round that didn't translate to an actual round. Entry did translate to a round, that is.
Okay, Elevate. You're going to see if you can double it down the same way that TSM did before. And the second time they were successful, but the second time they made kind of major changes. They pulled themselves into an entirely different position, locked themselves down inside the site itself, and had you sort of batter against their hatches, which they held firmly closed. That time round, outside of an early catch, from that attic hatch down towards the tower stairs, you were all inside the site. You were all having this fight anyway. So it becomes the question of, well, where do you think you might be able to change that? And I guess there's potential of going for more of an adventure. Onigiri on that Mozzie has a lot of time wasting potential, has the ability to just sort of play around. There are escape routes that are always as an option. And Sapper as well in Armory as the Pulse.
Pulse indeed. Trying to figure out if there is a push coming down from that side of things, but as he won't find anything, and Drone will actually spot him out soon. That was a foot that was just seen. I think Merc stays there for now. Actually, might have missed Drone. Might not have seen the Pulse there. And he might be sneaking up now with the Pulse actually watching that staircase.
Well, that's it, because they're definitely hunting a player. They know one is there, and they don't quite have the full angle. Those bullets came through too soft. Onigiri's causing problems. The worry is Onigiri rotates now on that staircase, and he's going to get got. Iana leans into the fight, tries to apply some pressure here, and there's 2 of them stacked up. They're still going for as many reads as possible. They could drop the hatch. Just slinks away from Merc there at that point, and that's the trade-off. The shotgun is close. Onigiri is closer, finds Bolo, goes for the swing next, a quick double pop, and that'll reveal the second player, and unfortunately Onigiri achieved. Battles back, Sapper finds Merc on the staircase, and Achieve now has to try and hunt a shotgun. The Pulse is Nerix now. He's crept his way up. He's offering some support as more bloodshed happens elsewhere. Charla finds Nay, who potentially was trying to rotate up at the same time, hit white stairs. Geometrics with the diffuser Geo. He's going to offer some support to Achieve. They're trying to focus on this fight. They're trying to focus on just grenading in. The Nitro gets a connection. He hits the floor, takes the hatch and drops down. There's a call behind. DCH hits Geo from the opposite side, and he went for the rotate that was failed previously. Sapper, they don't know he's down, but they'll hit this hatch and find a quick resolution. There he is, and there he goes.
Taken out, and now it's a 2-on-2 situation there. It was a bit of a guerrilla warfare tactic coming through here, and it's still going strong as the kill comes through. Nerix finds one. That's a diffuser drop, goes prone, swings around the classroom, takes a lot of damage down into Achieve as he's now prone on the ground with a pistol, breakdancing on that floor, able to pick up the round as well. Elevate, fight back, and they start to close the gap yet once more.
I mean, a breakdancing pistol, it's a play and it worked, and I guess it sort of highlights that fact when I said, what are you going to change? They did the opposite. They had exactly the opposite shift that TSM did. When TSM felt that their roam game wasn't working, they went to a turtle hold, and Vice versa, here we now have Elevate. They set themselves up, stacked 2 players, and decided to send 2 more for support when things started to get a little bit heated, and it worked out for them. They were able to draw all of TSM's attention, and then eventually all of their bodies and blood. 5-3. 5-3, it's not the biggest gap for them to try and circumvent. Obviously, at this point, it was 1 apiece either side as well. It was sort of the off-site that they ended up winning in the end of meeting. So to be able to have a little bit of a chance here on the attack, TSM, they're still, for now, ahead of pace.
It's also one of the first times I see the M110 work as good as it did, the shotgun on the FBI. Normally, it doesn't really work that well. This time, it just killed a couple of people as a result, and with the rest of the guerrilla warfare tactics that were going on by pulling them onto one side, sending someone to the back to quickly fall back after picking a kill, and doing that repeatedly, Elevate pick up that round. 2 more they need to find to equalize the score, 3 more to put themselves in a position where they can fight for a map point. Of course, luckily for them, if you reach overtime, you do not get deducted points. So even if TSM does reach that 6 mark, it's not over yet. They can easily get ready for that next one and make sure they make no mistakes from there on forward, as they do need this map win to get that first seed. Otherwise, 2 or 3 will still be on the board. Changes doesn't seem to be that big between.
TSM likely going to see if they can try and hunt down more isolated players. You can see that there's a bout of caution being paid to the building this time. Previously, they were already in, droning and trying to find fights at this moment before. And yeah, it's a different site, but it's also a different Elevate you've got to deal with. And that is a response to how active that Elevate was. Bolo is eyeing up the fight towards the trophy across the bedroom. There is a single player in there. You assume some utility too, so they're going to instead send themselves a stretch of 2 players, in fact, are in that position, or around there with Onigiri slinking his way onto Armory.
Alrighty then, Elevate trying to find yet another entry. DCH picks an aggressive fight, but is unable to land a kill just yet. At least a lot of time is being wasted, and Onigiri is in a site where he can actually try and provide some support with that DMR. Is about to swing around the corner. Not quite sure if they know where he is. He swings around the corner and gets the very first 2 kills. It's a double entry here for the side of Elevate, and it's a good start for them if they want to hold on to whatever could be a first seed here at the Six Invitational.
Well, that was a heck of a swing and a bold take there. Onigiri hits that gun like the hammer that it can be. Achieved. I'm not entirely sure if he knows that Nay's here, but he's definitely at least holding a rotation possibility. So it's either he knows someone's there or he knows someone's around Zulu. It was a little shiver, a little bit of a movement, a little bit of a shake, and achieved. Oh, he has a full idea. Pre-fires the angle, tries to pepper bullets towards them. There is... It's an escape! But it almost wasn't, Nay.
Probably didn't expect, actually. The smoke is ready to toss a smoke canister, and Sapper is just standing there with that canister looking to find a way to toss it in. But Merc already in quite far. It's an air jib that will be shot, that will be seen as well with, the, of course, the little laser that comes through. Merc finds the first headshot. Deadly as he is. Opens up the score for TSM during this round as someone rotates by on the actual dorm side of things. Nay, low still on HP, but he's playing around the corner. Achieved is close as well. He's currently droning. He has absolutely no clue he's here. And as there has been no verticality that has been made, he could pick up a very free kill around the corner if he doesn't get pre-fired, which is exactly what Achieved does, as he takes a small amount of damage.
Nerix, he's underneath the window, but he knows Achieved potentially is going to come behind him. That gives the game away, and that gives the game to Nerix. He's able to take it. Merc and Charla either side of a solid wall, try and sliver their way through. Charla gets the first. Nerix inside the site is dropped for 15 seconds. They got to try and find a way to stack themselves up and stack in. There's a great swing, but it's locked off by DCH with a double. Elevate. Tie 2 rounds in a row, put themselves just 1 behind TSM.
And it starts with a swing and a dream with an MK14 and a mechanical arm as you come around the corner to try and get back to side. It's an Onigiri that opens up with a double, and it's DCH, of course, that ends it off with 1 as well. 4-5, and Elevate are starting to fight back, and it seems like a tactical timeout will be called, and I have a suspicion it will be by TSM.
They know how important this round is. As I said before, the tertiary site is the next one that they need to get to sort of be on par and course. This is exactly the rhythm that it was, but obviously mirrored from the previous half. However, if Elevate can take this round, if they can bring themselves level, reopen Laundry, the site they had before, and suddenly TSM are only 2 rounds away from losing this series, losing that top seed.
That's it. That's what they are currently trying to aim for, and Elevate is looking to bring this to the full 12 rounds and regulation and potentially beyond that as well. And now TSM, they're all having a bit of a talk, using their hand warmers to make sure that everything is in the optimal position, or condition, rather, to head into that final round. Or not final round, but an important round.
It's an important
round 10, where they have the opportunity to either be equalized by the side of Elevate or to actually make sure that it will be them on a map point.
It's a round where things happen. It's a round where things start to sort of pull themselves together potentially because there's so much momentum. TSM said they are 1 round away from map point and they can pull it here on their off-site hold, on the 3rd hold of Elevate, and suddenly they have that little bit extra pressure, momentum that they can utilize or be pulled apart by. It's down to Elevate to see if they can stack up and step to the metal of what is otherwise going ahead of them. Meeting hall and kitchen, and as we'll find ourselves going in not too long, TSM. This is it. This is your site. This is your one to put yourself onto map point and give yourself the best possible boon and 2 chances. Elevate. You might be able to bring yourself level here.
They definitely can. Let's see if they will be able to. Again, an entry kill that led into a round as it has so often. Only one of them so far hasn't. 5 in this match, 4 did go their way. And that's how they want to start it off. They want to start it off with a bit of aggression, probably to find one of those TSM members. They have to make sure, though, that it's not in the way that TSM did before, where they went for that jump out that was instantly punished by the side of Elevate. And they gotta be a bit more creative about it, because it will be expected that way. Maybe go for a bit of a bait again, like we saw, of course, in that top floor where, you know, 2 men inside of the armory were being hunted down by the entire TSM team, and all they just had to do were pop up from different directions and take the fights as they went on, which managed for them to win the round in the end. Hatches will be reinforced. There is a rotation into the tower. And there probably will be some players up towards the dorms area as well. Probably very little people actually on that site, which makes it a little bit dangerous. TSM could just decide to rush upon it and try and see if they can get away with it. And, you know, they might, especially with the hatch being closed. There's not many places they can hide and try and retake from as soon as there is the site under control of TSM.
Okay, Elevate, how's your stretch going to work here? How are you going to try and rebuff a TSM that's had a team talk to get their heads on straight before this? In some strange ways, their most important round. Merc has already found himself onto T2. He's looking to try and drone his way across attic and maybe see if they can get some clarity down below. They are angling and setting themselves up for a stage take here as Bolo just drops the camera and pops himself back towards, well, potentially garage. It's a width that they want to structure themselves with here. They have loads of time. They're just going to see if they can probably get that cracked open, get control of attic, and then maybe try and drive those bodies on the top. But it's still a long route and a long road.
So confusing to me. They create a rotation for them to look through and don't even try and play inside of the attic in the end there. Grenades are at least being attempted. Chalet wants to get one through, but ADSs are coming in quite clutch here, making sure the mute jumper stay up. Nay almost loses his life there as he tries to rotate back. More is being shot on as the Excaros as Nay will be putting down an extra piece of Banshee. They just took out one. They need to make sure that it is back in place. And as all the Elevate guns are now aiming towards that direction, it seems like DCH might be willing to retake that top floor. I believe one is actually watching that rotation, not sure to what extent, but if he misses that shot, or if he's actually watching a drone at that given moment in time, it could just as well be a very successful take on that flank.
Chief, talking of, is going underneath. He obviously has the option here that Oregon offers, which is 3 different stair sets in 3 different locations. Sapper in a position with a C4. If he can time this well with the combination of either DCH's intel from somebody moving above or just a well-played thing in terms of the push onto the stage, well, this might be the lockout. That grenade just rolls a little bit too far for Sapper, who shuffled himself into a slightly new position behind the plinth, but he's so isolated. Nay with a pre-fire, pops a couple of bullets. They're well aware of that sledge, and, well, he's got to hold off that other side and trust that this can be held off here by Sapper. The C4 catches Bolo. It was a back and forth of explosives, and DCH explodes down, but caught off. Merc with a huge kill there is able to just hold on to the power and the momentum. Low health, can't get close to that smoke, has to wait for this to clear, but finds the clarity through it. Onigiri, in the meantime, gets a kill on the other side, 10 seconds. They've got to try and drive themselves into kitchen. They find it, Merc leading the way. A shotgun is the close pop. He goes wide, he goes close. The first is his, the second behind the chassis planted. Chalet out of time. It's Nay that just has to go for a long run to find their third in a row and elevate a back equal.
DCH flank there, absolutely important. They complete their rotation, are allowed to go back towards the laundry room. But don't forget that C4. It was a bit of bluff being called. He pulls the C4 and then they're like, all right, I'll rip the nade out. And he puts it back in pocket. But the C4 actually flies his way. Didn't expect that to happen. Loses his life as a result. And DCH instantly on the back of that drama decides to strike. He jumps down, gets the first, but unable to get Merc. Almost could have lost the round as a result because of it. And Eric's, of course, the right thing to do. Trying to take it aggressive right here. Force them to go for a plant with 0 seconds on the board. As the laundry is coming out next. Elevate. Are you going to be able to take the lead here at this given moment?
That's 3 in a row. 3 in a row to answer TSMs to get to the 5th. And both teams still just, well, now both sit just 1 away from being able to get on to that map point. The first engagement did get to 6-5 as well, and then just rolled over to that 7-5. I mean, it's not out of the question for us to find an OT, but it's down to TSM at this point. The momentum's been sort of taken away from them. It was a back and forth previously. This is the first time a team's been able to thread 3 rounds on a singular half together and actually complete that full rotation. Rotation of attacks. Elevate. You're back to laundry. You're back to the site that you weren't opening with so confidently. There was a bit of a change of pace. And now it seems like you've pulled yourself back down. Instead of playing the double stack around Armory and Trophy that opened this up, you've pulled yourself all the way back to that original hold.
Well, you say, but Onigiri actually go on. I thought for a second he was going all the way out from the barrels, but decided to actually stay inside. He's going to be playing this long, and this is an interesting one. Both of them have been opened up. There is no safe space, and that might actually indicate for a fact that he will be playing right behind the laundry machine with a zoom scope, or at least someone will play behind it. So they have at least that long angle they can use. So if anybody descends the freezer stairs, they can pick them up freely. Onigiri instead will be playing quite aggressively here on the laundry stairs. Could sneak into classroom if he really feels like it as well, but it's always a bit of a risk. If you do get droned out, you will be stuck. You will die in that position unless you fight your way out. And if you stay on those staircases, there's always the opportunity to go back down. It's good that he didn't, because Merc just droned it all out. Would have been able to pick up a very free kill if they did go up there. And as the hatches now do get opened up, there is that looming risk of Sapper playing around the corner with that shotgun on that smoke, who now has to rotate back due to that hatch being opened up.
The pressure's coming down from TSM, and they're making sure that they are being loud about it. They're putting it quite early. Getting open all the hatches, getting their full stretch. Freezer has pressure, Laundry as well. They know they want to try and pinch, and that long open wall, it's that kind of risk, because it means nobody can play truly behind that chassis with all the comfort that it might otherwise offer. Although, it seems like they've actually put a reinforcement up since the last time we looked at it. They've restructured themselves. Yeah, so they did. They were still, when they realized the push was coming this way, they put one up and put the gate up. They've moved some utility to make it a little bit more ferocious this time, which last time they didn't.
It's good to have that flexibility available with you here as the drone gets caught off by a Mew Gemmer. That forces them to try and make something happen. That grenade didn't land quite well, but eventually will still find Sapper as he walks right into it. And that is going to be the opening kill here for TSM. A welcome one, as this gives a little bit more freedom around the freezer area. It will be actually shot right before it can waste the Surya laser gate there, and as drones get found, Onigiri knows there is a player out there trying to get an aid right to land underneath him there, tries to find the head instead but fails to do that as well, but the push still continues to happen. An opening will be made into the Shaiko spot, and as TSM is starting to rotate around just a little bit, the drops will be coming in very shortly here.
30 seconds. They're going to see if they can try and get control of the pillar, and you can see Onigiri's rotated his way back either side of this solid wall. He's looking for the first fight he can take without any pressure elsewhere, and with the stack up coming on the blue door, it's about to explode its way through. Onigiri gets Merc, gets a big take, and DCH with a double on the far side. Pop to Goyo, can't get further. Bolo from behind, taken, and Elevate suddenly have a 4. Whoa, 3. 2 difference, a great swing round, but it's out of time. Elevate sit for the second time on map point. This time it's series, it's 4 in a row. And Dorms, I assume we go for their chance to lock out a 2-0.
I think so as well. It should be the Dorms. And after a great entry there from Bolo, the grenade that basically bounced off a little bit weirdly. I'm not quite sure if it was meant to do that or not, but picked up a good kill onto Sapper. It was Unagiri that just went wide. He's like, all right, I'm going to stand right here, middle of the room, wait for someone to drop, and then I'll swing onto the back stairs. That's exactly what he did. And the kills did come in favor of Elevate. 1 round away from making the top seed of their group and being the second APAC team to come in, well, not complete dominant fashion. Elevate have lost a game, but at least the second APAC team to be in that top seed.
Outside of potentially Furia. Because Furia, and I don't know the result. I don't know anything.
I think if they not?
If Furia get 3 points,
yes,
they top regardless.
Okay, never mind then. Wait, we can ask this.
Okay, you can't hear Hat, but he's asking.
Oh, you can, but
to our production. I like how you're like, we can ask this.
We can ask this.
And then you ask this silently, because I'm pretty sure they can still hear us when we don't say talk back either.
Okay.
What do you find out?
I found out. You didn't hear it? What did you hear it? Okay.
You asked.
The first map is done. The second map has just started 0-0.
Okay.
And Dark Zero is the one who is leading currently with 1-0.
Well, Furia can still top. They need 2 points. So if Furia, because they're currently sitting on 6, Elevator's sitting on 4, TSM is sitting on 7. So if TSM can lock this out now, and they get 1 point.
I was going to say, could they still technically go down to 4th? But no, there's no way.
No.
They're at least top 3. Let's just put it up like that. As Merc goes for a quick entry into the tower, putting up some of these air jabs as well. Doesn't want to have to deal with any shenanigans from the Elevate players who come up late to go for a big flank, because it has been quite successful for them.
TSM, pressure's on. Bolo's going to be that first inroad here. He's eyeing up Trophy, and he's been able to push his way past Meeting. He's seeing if he can get a catch on a body, drops the drone, and there's the bit of width coming from the opposite side as well. The pressure that might come down onto Attic, because it came as a sort of singular bout before. It was just Merc, I believe, who tried to force their way around, was successful, but suddenly when time started to run out and he's there on his own, it means that that sort of combination is really awkward to make, because for anybody else to be with you or for anyone else to join, it's a huge rotation. It's a massive time expenditure.
It definitely is, and as it's being created now into the actual attic wall, it gives an opening for Chalet to try and put the pressure onto the attic itself, but of course they realize there's this bulletproof camera. Grenades are being used from below to try and make sure that they can open up onto the walk-in closet and find a way into the games. DCH, however, is quite aggressive. He's thinking about potentially even swinging out of the door right here as he's standing right next to it, but doesn't want to get too close, due to the fact, of course, there is that serial laser gate that would give away that he's out there. But as a second opening will be made, he's forced to go a little bit more aggressive than he might have wanted to. So it takes a small amount of damage as well. Ney, ready to wait below, is waiting for that push up the armory stairs so he can strike in the back and find these kills in favor of Elevate.
Ney in a position here could be huge. Achieved is waiting. He knows he doesn't want to overextend, but the difference is where he was last time. Sapper takes a big shot at damage here over the backside of Attic. As I said, that focus push, but it's achieved. That opens it up, takes New, takes armory stairs. They've been able to take a little bit of damage off of him, but with Bolo getting the lock off there on Sapper, Attic has fallen into their favor as well. Onigiri!
What are you doing?
Goes huge, finds Bolo and achieved, but Merc finds a battle back. They're rotating back up White, a spray from DCH with 30 seconds. TSM have a lot of time and they have the rotation onto Dorms. It's all down to Nerix, is able to find one on the split side, looks for the second, but it is Merc that carries them into OT.
They almost managed to find it there. They almost managed to bring it back on Onigiri, who just steps out yet once more and gets 2 kills onto the players inside games. The amount of times he does that with that MK14, it's just insane what he managed to achieve with it. This time, however, did not succeed into a round, and it's TSM that forces to OT, and we're going back towards the dorms. It's Elevate that will go there yet once more. They're not opting to actually go towards that basement, which they have done before, or the meeting, or anything else to throw a bit of an oddball. They're staying on that top floor. They know what went wrong. They're going to edit on their mistakes and make sure that they start this off with yet another map point.
Kid Storms, Elevate, you're back on the defense down here, and you think you can double it down on the top floor, and I guess it becomes that conversation. Is it one where you think they might have set themselves up in their expectations for a push on the basement? The big change is obviously limitations of air jabs and nomads, but they still have what is a fairly solid structure and take for anything up the top here. There was the play underneath, there was the chance at a whiff and a swing. It's those 1 versus 1 battles, and if they slip away from you, well, they slip away from you. And as we saw, that push-up armory stairs turned massive by the end of what it allowed them to do. Onigiri almost stemmed the flood.
He almost did, but it was picked up due to the loss of the attic. The attic no longer under control, of course, and as soon as he tried to rotate back, he lost his life. His teammate not in a position yet to, well, properly deal with that right after. Of course, Nerix almost stemmed it as well as he managed to pick up 1. Unfortunately, not more than that, and the plant already going through put him under quite some pressure. Merc, 14 kills. Chalet on 11. On the other side, we have Onigiri on 13. That is the people in the double digits right now. There's still some who can reach it. Is achieved here with a cheeky drone inside of the dining, is trying to figure out whether or not someone is active inside that kitchen or if it's going to be a way in for them.
Bolo is getting all eyes onto Zulu, and this is actually one of the first times we've seen the stretch of the players here into the kitchen side. As you said, Achieved and Merc either side of the player, but look at the watch just above the door. That's what he sees, the bits of wood on the floor. Merc could get caught here. The drone is still consistent on Nerix. It's a bit of width, but he suffers in the engagement, finds the Malusi, finds himself stacked up there without taking too much. Just had a little bit more of the angle against them, and that drone game, it entirely capitalized on that positioning.
I think Nay's actually going for a huge flank right here. He's thinking about going potentially back up those tower stairs, and Merc and Chalet being in that position as they start opening up now, that could be absolutely detrimental if there's no flank drone currently being watched. They're in a 5v4, so everybody is still alive. Everybody has jobs to do, so it could just as well be possible that none of these flank drones are currently being flicked over, as it's only Geo and Merc currently doing exactly that. The drone passes. Nay is going up just ever so slightly. He sees one, finds the second, swaps over, finds it as well. A great double kill from Napew brings it back into their favor. They have that man advantage now. The attic control has swiftly fallen, and all TSM has available to them is the big window to potentially jump in, or is Achieved and Bolo try and make something else happen.
Absolutely Solid snaked his way through that. We saw 2 drones go past him, and the last one was caught out on the way through the door, caught the player. And TSM suddenly has to try and fight their way up white here. Achieved is going to get himself stacked onto the window just for a closer swing in. That grenade doesn't quite catch DCH. He's buried himself as far into that corner as possible. Onigiri, he's making sure there isn't a swing around. The drone on the bomb chassis is getting all the pings. There's the reveal. It made that slight movement, but it's enough. And Nay, though, battles back. Achieved has to find his way off the window. They're going to see if they can stack up and offer some support there to Geo. But he's going to see if he can run his way up that stairs. He's coming up the backside. Nay might be a bit unaware. He seems to have that awareness at the end there. It's an Aruni gate still to get through, and a shotgun. Hello. Goodbye. A quad kill for Nay. And Onigiri, well, he might steal the ace, but I'm sure it's fine. Once again on map point.
Nay with the solid snake, you said it there. He snuck in right as the drone passed. Found one, or at least saw him, but decided, all right, he's on his drone. Not really a big threat right now. Let's just see if there's anybody else up there. Finds that kill first, and then gets the second before the gun is fully operational. It's an LMG. It's better that he managed to pick him up there before the extra shots started to come out, because against the pre-fire, you're not winning that with an SMG-11 because you're out of ammo within half a second. So Elevate, yet again, found themselves on map point, and this time they'll be forced over towards the attack. The Laundry will be the site. It is a site they have struggled with. If I quickly go back...
They took it once, lost it twice.
They lost it, indeed. Won it once, lost it twice. And the way they won it was due to the double opening that Onigiri had in round 1 up onto that top floor. Suddenly it was a 5-on-3 execute onto the site. Whereas the previous times, late rotations being forced, no openings being given by the side of TSM. So if they play it the way that they did before, then we should be in a good position. However, what we haven't seen yet is an elbow take. Yes, they've attempted it, but with limited resources. If they do somehow manage to waste those ADSs, get rid of the shield and the player out there, suddenly you have a different angle to work with. You have then the pillar, you have the elbow to work with, you have an L-shaped attack onto the actual site. which might be successful and which might be what they'll try to achieve. It would also depend on whether or not there is going to be many players up on that top floor on the side of TSM. They also know what's at stake. They could lose their potential first seeding here, as Elevate is looking to take it away from them just temporarily until the game that is going on next to us has ended. 7-6, another map point. It's the second one Elevate will have on this map. Last time they also needed 2. Let's see if this time that rings true.
It starts here with the push down onto blue. Now, they were locked out for a long time on their last attempt here, and they sort of tried to stretch themselves, but you can see Sapper on the far side doing some prep work onto Laundry. You can see that they're getting the drone and control potential here over Attic. A lot of them are prepped here. Gio has done a great job holding off. It's obviously been complemented by the swings that Bolo's been able to make from inside the site. I think he's been able to get the opener on the previous 2 successful holds, and I'm sure he's looking to continue that statistic. They find their way in at the top. They're going to slowly descend across the tower, led in by the Prisma. Camera's already gone, and they can get a little bit more width as Nay is going to head towards that E-box hatch.
It's important they get that opened up. They need to use that to potentially open up onto Shaiko, find a player at least, disturb him from his presence there, make sure he's not out there. As Nerex is running an odd gun. It's not a 417, it's not an F2. No, it is the French close quarters shotgun. And I would like to say I think it's literally one of the best shotguns in the game. It is just that the French have a lot of better guns available to them normally. But on a rush, it is deadly. So they might try, it might indicate a bit of a quick push coming through.
Well, there goes that gate on that hatch. They have a 30-second window to see if they can try and apply the pressure onto those players, burn some utilities, and that's exactly what the response is going to be. The canister of Chalet pops off on the door itself. Stops any closer engagement, stops any closer growth there as they're going to start to try and trade the diffuser out. 3 bodies stacked on barrels in just under a minute. You can hear so many pops happening, and another canister. Very well played by Chalet. He is reading and playing against this game perfectly. He's making sure each burst is one that's met with one of his own. The utility is coming through. Are they going to go for a push? It's sort of a sooner rather than later moment, and it goes. A trade comes through. Bolo suffers. Sapper can't quite get it and lost. Suddenly, TSM is entirely lit up. Bolo, he's going to try and go for a retake as Onigiri and DCH put some bodies down on the stair set itself. They're sort of isolated. That's the worry right now. You can see Bolo stacked up to try and take this fight, but the diffuser has been left behind. A pre-fire gets the connection. It's just Merc, but it's also just DCH. Merc is the only one left for TSM to be able to keep any hope of pulling any points and keeping themselves at the top of the board. It's revealed the location DCH, but he's got 10 seconds. He goes for it, but Merc keeps TSM fighting all the way 7-7.
They tried to go quick there, however, Sepper not realizing the player was close around the rotate onto elbow. And that puts us in the current position we're at. A 7-7 where anybody can take it. Whoever wins this next round will win the map. However, Elevate is in favor. Elevate is the one that currently has the opportunity to go to the defense, which 8 rounds or 10 rounds so far have been won on, compared to the 4 on attack. Will that help them? Is the big question. Will this be where they lock in their win with a 2-0? Who got the entry kill last round? I didn't see it. I'm just going to ask you.
You can ask me?
Yeah, which team? I think it was TSM.
Well, to be honest, I think 2 came at pretty much exactly the same split second. Because Bolo got somebody, and I think Onigiri got somebody exactly... Or if it wasn't exactly, it was just like...
I'll give it to TSM.
TSM can have that one.
They can have that one.
And if you want anything else from this, they've got to have this one as well. Elevate. Dorms, you were able to take, and that was sort of against the meter of things. You'd only won that successfully once before. Laundry, you lost it once, but have taken it twice. You've had better success rate here. You have yourself set up, and it's down to TSM. They know what they're going to be pushing. They assume it's going to be down underneath. They've bought the roster that they think can lead them to the success. No Nomad is the sort of jiggle between their other previous plays, but they have the double hard destruction. They have a handful of pocket full of grenades of 6.
And we again see, actually, the rotate comes in late from Nade there. So they've opened it up completely, but decided to close it off. It might be, if you look through the hatch, it looks like it could be open. So might call for some mistakes to be made in communication-wise, but I'm not quite sure. You know, it's just 2 shells anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much in the end. Quick entry, however, from Bolo, who's quickly taken the showers, corridor, and all the surroundings in control. So dining, showers, and the small tower is now TSM territory. That's where the push is coming from that western side. Also some players up on that roof. Merc holding off that main lobby to make sure that no rotation comes through. And the Elevate players, they are preparing themselves. You saw them just put those sleeves in the right position. Everything needs to go right now. They do not want to go to a map number 3. It would kind of defeat the purpose of what they're trying to achieve here, which is take that lead in the group away from the sides and the hands of Team Solo mid.
The aforementioned team, well, they're not very solo right now, and mid doesn't really take too much of a sense here on Siege, but they are together. And I think that's one of the aspects that they need to be able to punish Elevate. Okay, Elevate have this habit of popping off 1 and 2 at the same time, and we've seen them punish it, but you still can't really let those players get too loose. And this togetherness on the push, they're setting themselves up for their options, sure, but whether they go for the width they had before might be something that stumbles them. The take starts down onto Laundry. And alongside that, they've got the freezer swing round. They're getting their steady aggression closer and closer. There's Default still up.
Could still be, not quite sure. Gio opens up onto the barrels, however, as he rotates back towards the rest of it. Gives away a bit of a notion, indeed. There is a cam up there. They saw him rotate out, so they're like, all right, it's safe. There's no one out there, so they will just close off the door again. Nerix to make sure there is no pressure coming down, but it seems that the drop will be coming through. 3 players on top of that hatch, but Onigiri is sneaking up, I believe he was. No, actually, that was the overlay. That was just screwing me over right there in the top-down view. Either way, 46 seconds on the clock. The main push will be coming down from the Laundry side, and they need to hold that off.
Chiefs has just dropped a drone on the far side of Harry Potter as well. The first smoke canister pops from Sapper, stops the push. It's 2 in Laundry, 2 in Freezer, as I said, and the single player on the backside. Sine wants to see if he can take this fight. If he can lock out a Chief, suddenly it's more relevant for DCH. In the meantime, has his own ideas. DCH is able to swing wide, get Merc and Geo. Suddenly it's just the Freezer side on Agiri and Nay. Get 1 more apiece. It is just Charla to clutch this out, but it's a flawless for Elevate. At APAC, they are able to surmount so many teams and favorites. TSM, they're obviously still in it, but from the top of the group, they are guaranteed at least a little bit of a fall. Elevate themselves, maybe leaving this as the top seed, depending on what is going on the other stream.
What a result that was. Elevate in the end, and I don't want to say anything, but you know how I hyped up Onigiri before and how I was a big fan of the man. He dropped 19 kills in that game, not that round. I almost wanted to say round. That's a bit much, but 19 kills. And TSM, they're quickly reconsolidating themselves right here. They know their run is far from over. They still will be in that top bracket, having the extra life, but they will definitely be playing an extra game. May that be as the 2nd or the 3rd seed, we will not know yet. That depends on that last game that is still being played on the Bravo stream. But Elevate, they just made an upset happen yet once more.
I mean, it was just everything put together. TSM put up a great fight, but as you said, Onigiri, the plays DCH was making throughout this, that gun skill, that ability to throw themselves into these engagements confidently, it really just carried the pressure on here from Elevate. They were asked, obviously, who they're happy to go up against, the sort of game they like to play. An aggressive one was the answer, and they sort of demonstrated it.
They definitely did. They didn't stay put. They continued to move around whenever they were able to. And even when they weren't able to, Onigiri just swung out with a DMR and managed to pick up 2 kills as a result. The control on that gun must be insane, because there's not many people that I see swinging as confidently with one like him. Every single time he gets too close to a door, you're like, all right, he's going to sidestep and he will find 2 guns at the side of TSM, but it doesn't matter. He'll just pick them up both. Elevate, they win. For now, they are 1st seed, but depending on how the other game will go that is taking place over there, we'll have to find out whether or not they stay there.
And that's it that's the end day. That's how everything sort of comes together. We're getting, obviously, every single body locked in, and the draw is happening tomorrow at around lunchtime.
It is.
And we obviously still have games in hand left, including the one that is happening on the Bravo stream. But obviously, it's not just this. There are analysts to break it down. So we'll throw it to a very quick break and see what they had to say about that.